I'm Larry Bishop, and you're listening to The World Is Wrong podcast.
We're here to tell you how the world is wrong. The world is wrong about the second annual Noscars!
Welcome to a very special episode of The World is Wrong, an extremely positive podcast where we celebrate films and film artists the world is wrong about. Yes, you tuned in to the Noscars episode where we celebrate the films that received no nominations for the other awards, the Academy Awards. There is no Academy here. Where it's just a bunch of anarchist weirdos, not like specifically associated as anarchists, but there is a certain anarchy to the way that a peaceful anarchy to the way that we go about our business here. But we do have a long list of non-minees. I am one of your hosts. My name is Andras Jones.
And I'm one of your hosts, and my name is Bryan Connolly.
And you're probably the biggest fan of the Academy Awards that I know. You live and die by their decrees. The films that they until this podcast, until you refuse to view anything that the Oscars did not deem worthy. That's been your film list, right? That's correct.
Wrong. The opposite. Actually, I can't even remember the last Best Picture I've seen. The last Best Picture I saw was, gosh, No Country for Old Men. Like, that was a long time ago. So I haven't seen anything that's won Best Picture since then.
Since then, it's all been no movies for this man.
Yeah, he's watched nothing.
So just so people know, the way what we're going to be doing here is we have a few guests, or a couple of guests who are joining us. You may remember them. Of course, you know AJ Gonzalez, who is Bryan's co-host on the Director's Wall podcast, regular contributor to the World is Wrong podcast, and our old friend Jen Brown. They both were on our last Noscars episode, an epic affair. We're going to try and keep this one a little bit shorter, not trying to do like the actual Academy Awards and try and keep the attention of people who need for there to be less movies in a movie award show. But yeah, we just said we have fewer contributors, maybe because last time was not as fun for them as it was for us. But at least AJ and Jen have decided to join us. They have long lists of non-minees. That's what we call our the films and the film artists. We are celebrating them. They did not receive nominations from the Academy Awards, and so they are eligible to become our non-minees for Noscars. And of course, we're celebrating not just films, but television shows. It's all cinema as far as we're concerned.
Yeah.
And because most of these films, right, we don't really watch. We watch very few of them on big screens, sadly. Even in a pre-pandemic year, I feel like most people, if you go out to 12 movies a year, that's a lot, and that's nothing. Like, you're not going to see most of the best films that way. So, have I given all the information about what the Noscars are for someone who's just tuning into this as their very first World is Wrong podcast?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think where people get confused is they'll think, oh, what about this movie? And we'll be like, well, that's up for best costume, and we can't count that. Like last year. We had Nigel try to sneak in the Spike Lee
to Five Bloods
Vietnam War movie, but it was up for something. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, it was
up for an
best
award.
Song. It was really and for it. That's
best song. And so that's just the rules though. The rules are it can't be up for anything, nothing, no Oscars at all. It can be up for a raspberry. It can be up for a Razzie, but it can't be up for an Academy Award for it to count. That's just the rules, man.
Since you brought them up, because the Razzies are our natural enemies. Not that we have particular animosity to any of the people there, but that like literally we are here to celebrate the films that their whole raison d'etre is to shit on. And so, yeah, we would like to see them
die.
You know. Well, we will always be. Honestly, we will always be. It will be engaged in an eternal battle with that kind of thinking. Even if the Razzies were to go away, there would still be people who take pleasure in tearing things down. And then there are people like us who take pleasure in standing between those things and those people and saying, fuck you. So what fuck yous do we have for the Razzies this year? Who have they chosen to pick on?
I think I haven't seen most of these movies, but I have a feeling there's some movies that are going to be on your list that are up for Razzies. And I don't want to give away what's on your list yet, but maybe this can give you just an idea. The Last Duel is up for Worst Supporting Actor for Ben Affleck. The House of Gucci up for Worst Supporting Actor for Jared Leto. So they're really going after Ridley Scott's 2 movies for Supporting Actor. Mm-hmm. The rest is kind of like fish in a barrel. It's like, we're going to go after Space Jam, the new Space Jam movie. We're going to go after... The weird one is Dear Evan Hansen, because I thought people liked that movie, but I guess the Razzies are like, no, that movie sucks. I
think everything I've heard about that film is not good.
All right, well, maybe. But it's kind of, they kind of went weird where they picked movies I never really heard, like Diana the Musical. I don't know what that is. I guess it was something on Netflix that they thought was bad.
Diana Ross? About a musical about
Diana
Diana Ross?
It's Princess Diana. They really didn't like The Woman in the Window, the Joe Wright thriller. They were not into that. Rennie Harlan up for Worst Director for The Misfits. So, like, it's kind of like nothing. Nothing.
Hold on a second. Just on principle alone, the idea of Rennie Harlan using the title from one of the great films of all time, the Misfits, with Clark Gable, Marilyn Monroe, Montgomery Clift, and Eli Wallach, directed by John Huston from an Arthur Miller screenplay. Somehow Rennie Harlan is going to try and... Oh, boy. Okay, Razzies, you might have an ally in this one. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
I will be talking about a couple of those films. We won't be able to... Well, maybe that's a good segue, because there are some films that received nominations, as we said, like with Da 5 Bloods last year, that received maybe one costume or song nomination. And so we can't celebrate it on this podcast, although I'd like to, or we'd like to. And one of those for me is definitely House of Gucci, and particularly Jared Leto and Lady Gaga. If it had received no nominations, I think Lady Gaga would be my best actress.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I just think that's a role that... It's just nuts. She and Jared Leto are both nuts in this film in a way that is going to age so well. It's just good. People are going to be going back and watching House of Gucci way more than they're going to be going back to see Way of the Dog. I think The Way of the Dog, it's a fantastic film, but not fun. House of Gucci is just nuts. And Lady Gaga is she is such a movie star, and it should be annoying. But I don't know if I said this to you, but it's like she has the acting chops we wanted Madonna to have.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And also maybe there's a standing on the shoulders of giants in a way, like she's being very particular about what she picks. She's not just going and diving into somebody else's film. If there's a film, it's going to be built around
her. Yeah.
I'm going to act.
No, I'm excited. I'm usually not excited about Ridley Scott, but I'm excited for that movie. That does look good.
It's not even that good. The Last Duel is a better movie, but also not one that I see myself revisiting. Whereas I could just, you could put on House of Gucci behind a bar and people would be happy in that bar. It's my old bartender speaking. So what about you? What were there any Oscar or Academy Award nominated films you wish we could talk about today?
Yeah, there was only one. There was one that was on my best of list that I couldn't do, and that was the James Bond movie No Time to Die, which I loved, thought it was amazing, thought it was really good. One of the best Daniel Craig movies. but it's up for Best Visual Effects, Best Sound, and Best Original Song, as Bond movies often are. I have a feeling it may win Best Original Song, but because of those 3 kind of awards, I can't talk about that one. But briefly, I'll just say, if you haven't seen it, it's a great fitting end to the Daniel Craig legacy. Real excited for the next Bond, but this is a great, like, kind of wrap it up end, and it's just really well made. Just a fantastic movie across the board. So, did you ever get to watch it?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it definitely it delivers some bonding, and how do you talk about the Bond film when you recommend it to people?
I just say, well, it's definitely the last Daniel Craig one.
Okay.
That's what, and I kind of leave it at that, and I'm like, and it's really good. It's got what you want from a Bond movie. It's like the action scenes are awesome, like the beautiful people, like classy, him in a suit, like cool cars, like it's got the fun Bond, it's got the serious Bond. It's really long, but you don't care because it's also just incredibly well directed. Just like it's like a legit real movie, just like how Casino Royale was. Like it's
Who directed this one?
The guy who directed True Detective. His name is Cary Fukunaga, I think is how you say the last name. Yeah. And he's a great filmmaker. He's a real filmmaker. And it'll be interesting to see where they go next. Like, because usually it always swings some other way. So are we going to get like a silly Bond again, or what? What's it going to be like? I don't know. It always kind of moves with the times. So I guess it depends on who the Bond is. They usually build it around whoever James Bond is. So if it's Jared Leto as an Italian man, that's going to be a different tone than Idris Elba or whatever. So like we'll see. We'll see what it has in store. Yeah, so that's what I got for my Oscar.
I'm so excited for the continuation of the Knives Out world. That's where Daniel Craig is heading.
Yeah.
Makes me. It's the perfect, sort of along the same lines of what I was saying about Lady Gaga being the actor that we wanted Madonna to be. I feel like Daniel Craig may be the first Bond who has sort of come into it and made no missteps because he's seen everybody else's missteps because of his natural talent and whatever. But he has managed to avoid, I think, all of the pitfalls and get all the good stuff, and going from Bond to this new sort of weird, like Southern Hercule Poirot guy in a totally original series from one of the best writer-directors going is just... If Connery could have done that...
Give me 5 of those,
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like what we wanted from... Devil in a Blue Dress with the Easy Rollins and Denzel Washington, which we should have had. But yeah, again, that's where we're getting. My mind always goes to where the world is wrong and what should be fixed. But we can just take a moment to appreciate the end of Daniel Craig's Bond and the beginning of, I don't know what you're going to call that series. It's not is it going to be just Knives Out? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, or
who knows? Yeah, maybe.
Knives Out, Knives In, or something.
Never Too Young to Knife. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, I guess maybe it's time to bring in our first Noscars NONminator. Do you want to tell us about who's going to be presenting these awards?
Yeah, so this is AJ Gonzalez. He's been a guest many times on the show. He's my co-host on the Director's Wall. And him, more than anyone else on the planet Earth, really loves and is obsessed with the Oscars. Like, I don't know anyone else as into it as he is. And he seemed to be equally into the Noscars, which feels very nice. He like, all year long has been like, making his list and thinking about it, and really came up with quite a good... list of things, and one of the movies is also on my list. I won't say which one yet, but this is a good lineup he's got here.
Okay, well, let's go to that now. Dear listener, if you are just discovering our podcast, you can find all of our episodes on our website at theworldiswrongpodcast.com. You can also write to us at contact@theworldiswrongpodcast.com or follow us on Instagram at theworldiswrongpodcast. And now, back to the show. You're kind of an Oscars scholar. We had you on our special Oscars episode. What do you think about the actual Academy Award nominees and all the surrounding, controversy?
Well, for the most part, seems like a kind of like a decent, group of films. It's kind of the ones you were expecting. Really excited to see Licorice Pizza in there, as far as the actual not nominations. And then it seems like they took those movies and then just ran them down the ballot. Then there's not really a lot of diversity in the below the line categories like production design, which is disappointing. And yeah, every year the Academy broadcast thinks it needs to be only 3 hours long. I don't know why. This year they're gonna cut some awards, give them out before. They're going to cut out the editing award and then presumably tell their editors to edit it back in and make it look good, which is all kinds of weird irony. And then, of course, there's this whole Twitter fan award, which is going to be decided by some bot factory that people will have rigged up. And that's going to be on the broadcast. It's frustrating. I have not sent out my angry tweets, but I will at the Academy. Hopefully they backpedal. They've done it before and just air this ceremony, this mythical fan base that they think they're going to get by making the awards shorter and adding in an internet poll. It's just not going to happen. The people that watch the Oscars are the people that watch the Oscars. You're only going to lose more viewers. You're not really going to gain a whole lot more. So that whole, whenever with the broadcast, it is frustrating. And as far as the seemingly predetermined winners, if the favorites, the front runners, win in most categories, I'd be okay with it. I'd rather other things win, and I'd rather other things have been nominated, and that's why we have the Noscars.
Yes, far more excited to know your nominees than to know who wins this year's Academy Awards. So why don't we just get into it now? What do you have for us?
All right, so first up, I made up my own category, which is one that the Oscars needs. They really need to have a Best Stunts category for all the great stunts and action that is integral to the success of action movies, but is not recognized on the stage, and it really needs to be. And my pick for that is Gunpowder Milkshake, which is a movie on Netflix about some mother-daughter female assassins, and it's very much in the style of John Wick, but unlike the latter John Wick movies, this one is a lot of fun. It really reminded me of that first John Wick movie, which reminded me of action movies from the 90s. There's a big shootout in this library that's run by Carla Gugino and Michelle Yeoh and Angela Bassett that just has all this great work, all this great shootout gun work. And I mean, best of all, it's a lot of fun. You can just relax and watch a fun action movie, which I feel like doesn't get to happen a lot these days.
Nice. Okay. Best stunts. Gunpowder Milkshake. What's next?
All right. So next, I went with the BAFTA categorization, Best Film Not in the English Language. And I went with Benedetta, directed by Paul Verhoeven. It's a film about a young nun in the 1600s who has visions of Jesus and like she says that her visions will protect the town from the plague, and she gets a novice to take care of, and they end up having an affair. But it's really about, like, it's not a nunsploitation movie. This is really about like questions of like faith and religion and belief in an actual, like, refreshingly challenging kind of way that really only Paul Verhoeven could do. This is like, you know, he made films like The Fourth Man and Spetters. And this is very much in that vein of like, I think I know what I'm watching, but I'm not sure, and I'm just enthralled the whole time.
Benedetta from Paul Verhoeven, the best film not in the English language. You have to say it in the BAFTA way. And from one religion to another religion, what do you have next up?
Up next, best documentary. Is this a movie, a TV show? It's my pick, so I'm just going to call it Best Documentary, The Beatles Get Back, directed by Peter Jackson. This also gets
Michael Lindsay Hogue.
Yes. Of course, he did all the original footage for the actual documentary.
Now we're going to take the Beatles, and I'll be quiet.
Oh, you recording our conversation? Looking for a what? What is it? Looking for a home to last.
Looking for a blast from the past.
We're talking about 14 songs we hope to get. I've got a feeling. How many have we already recorded good enough? None. Oh, yeah. None of us has had the idea of what the show's going to be. I've got a feeling.
I would dig to play on stage, you know. Nobody else wants to do a show.
I think we've got a bit shy.
Oh, no!
Yeah! What could it be, Paul? Something in the way she moves. What attracted me at all?
Just say whatever comes in your head each time. Attracts me like a cauliflower until you get the word, you know.
There is a show to be had, you know, once we get over the nervousness.
Take 10. Oh, yeah!
I think we should forget the whole idea of this show.
The meeting was fine, but then, you know, it all sort of fell apart in the end.
So what's our next move?
Maybe split George's instruments.
But it's going to be such a comical thing, like in 50 years' time. They broke up because Yoko sat on an amp.
The documentary just grinding to a halt.
Grinding to a halt, I think it's taking off.
Here we go.
Yeah! Get back, George!
And it also gets my award for best editing because, I mean, it's just a massive undertaking. They took all this footage and cut it together into, yes, like an 8-hour movie, but you watch it and it's so compelling, it's so enthralling, and it's so great to just see the Beatles in the studio and to see them like pick out songs and to see Paul McCartney just playing gibberish on his guitar, and then all of a sudden it turns into Get Back, and to seeing them have a fight and George quit the band and they have a breakdown and Paul McCartney freaks out and starts doing like parkour on scaffolding because he doesn't know what to do with his life. It's great. I could go on forever talking about this, but like it's like a fly on the wall documentary, but there is a subtle narrative worked in there through the editing, and it really feels like you're watching a story as much as it is just fly on the wall footage. There is like this great narrative there, and then it pays off with the concert on the roof, which is amazing, and you get to see more footage of that than I've ever seen before.
So you would say that Get Back doesn't let us down? Although it was a long and winding road, they chose not to just let it be.
It led to a long and winding road that led to our door.
Exactly. Fantastic. One of the best films of the year. Can't argue with that. And what do you have next for us?
All right, up next, I've got Best Adapted Screenplay. Goes to M. Night Shyamalan for Old.
No kids allowed on the beach? What?
That's not true!
Oh, no! Oh, no!
We never leave each other. Nothing separates us.
Are we there yet? You said 5 minutes. Technically, it's been more than 5 minutes.
Let's just all start slowing down. Wow. Do you believe I found this online?
I guess it's not that secret a beast.
Whoa! Who would leave this? From the hotel! They're so rusted!
What's happening?
Found stuff from the hotel in the sand.
What happened to her, Mom?
I don't know.
What happened to her?
Body has decomposed.
How quickly can that happen?
7 years.
But she just died.
Wait, where are the kids?
Trent!
Kara!
Come here!
Hey, have you seen my children?
Mom? I'm right here.
Dad, why are you looking at me like that? What's happening to us?
My daughter just turned 6 2 weeks ago. Mom? Whatever's happening to us is happening very fast.
You have wrinkles. There's something wrong with this beach.
What's happening?
Mom! 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 I'm scared! We have to get off this beach!
Based on a French graphic novel called Sandcastle. And I did a podcast on my podcast, Director's Wall. Bryan and I covered Old, and we looked up the differences between the graphic novel and what made it into the movie, and what Shyamalan, of course, changed a couple things. And the things he changed, like, were really fit his style. Like, he's been toying with the idea of, like, a grand conspiracy for the past couple of movies, and it hasn't worked. But then it works in Old. And there are things that he put enough of himself in this adaptation to really make it feel like a Shyamalan movie. So he gets my Adapted Screenplay Award.
All right. Not just pumping up your own podcast. There seems like there might be a little bit of a grand conspiracy behind this choice, but we'll let it pass. No, I don't disagree with the nomination. So we're getting into the actor nominees now. What do you have for us?
All right. So supporting actress. When I saw this performance, I like, this deserves Best Supporting Actress. And then the movie didn't do well financially, so it fell out of awards conversation. I became very angry because Olga Mirides, who plays Abuela Claudia in The Heights, absolutely gave the Best Supporting Female Performance of any film last year.
Abuela Claudia never had kids, so she adopted the whole block as her own. Adopted our sueñitos, too.
¿Qué te pasa, amiga?
When I got to Stanford, the isolation, abuela, the loneliness, I was like, what am I doing here?
Ay, mija, yo sé. Mira, when my mama came from Cuba, ay, Dios mío. She felt like one tiny grain of sand from the beaches we left behind.
What did she do?
She bought a winter coat and a pair of velvet gloves. Her hands were cracked from the cleaning fluids, but the gloves hid that. We had to assert our dignity in small ways. That's why these napkins are beautiful. That's why my mother's gloves were beautiful. Little details that tell the world we are not invisible. Vete, habla con tu papá.
Sigue andando el camino por toda su vida. Respira. Y si pierdes mis huellas, que Dios te bendiga.
She's like the neighborhood grandmother. She's not actually the main character's grandmother, but she's just this wonderful presence that kind of keeps this neighborhood alive, and she has wonderful songs, wonderful moments. It's it's like there's so much heart in that movie from so many places, but a lot of it comes from her, and she deserves so much recognition. Olga Merediz for In the Heights.
Olga Merediz, tonight is your night. What's next?
Up next for Best Supporting Actor, I have Jeffrey Wright as Roebuck Wright in The French Dispatch, Wes Anderson's The French Dispatch.
Someone told me you have a photographic memory. Is that true?
That is false. I have a typographic memory. I recollect the written word with considerable accuracy and detail. In other spheres, my powers of retention are distinctly impressionistic. I'm known to my intimates as a most forgetful man.
Yet you remember every word you ever wrote. The novels, the essays, the poems, the plays.
The unrequited Valentine, sadly, I do.
May I test you?
If you must, unless we try the patience of your viewership. Or the esteemed spokesman for Gemini tooth powder.
My favorite piece is the one about the cook, where the kidnappers get poisoned.
Do students of the table dream in flavors? That was the first of the questions a reporter for this magazine had diligently prepared in advance of his encounter with Lieutenant Nescaffier, ranking chef at district headquarters on the narrow river peninsula known as the Rongier d'Angle. All such queries were to remain unanswered in the course of that eventful evening. Shall I carry on?
Please.
Which I have to admit is the first Wes Anderson movie where I've had to wonder whether I liked it or not. I'm a big Wes Anderson fan, but the criticisms that other people have lobbed at other of his movies, I really felt those for The French Dispatch, but the one really bright spot where I'm like, well, this is great, is Jeffrey Wright's performance, who brings that kind of melancholy whimsy that you want and expect in a Wes Anderson movie. He narrates his segment, and his narration is absolutely wonderful. And like I said, that Wes Anderson melancholy whimsy, he encapsulates perfectly.
Surprising that this film got no nominations from the Academy.
I know.
It leaves it for us. So Jeffrey Wright, best support. Has he won an Oscar yet?
I don't believe so.
Okay, well, once again, we're ahead of the curve on this one.
Yeah.
Everyone, Jeffrey Wright's a good actor. Headline here from The World Is Wrong.
That kid's going places.
Okay, but they're just the supporting actors. Let's get to the real actors and actresses. What do we have for you?
So for Best Actress, I have Rebecca Hall for The Night House. This is a horror movie, and it really nails that line between horror and this is a drama about sad people, which a lot of recent horror movies have been. This is a drama about sad people with a few scary scenes here and there. But this really nails it. She plays a grieving widow. Her husband killed himself mysteriously, and then strange things start happening in her house. And then she finds that there's a replica of her house across the lake where she lives. And the scary things that start happening are actually really creepy. There's some really genuinely creepy scenes in this, and it definitely goes horror. It's this isn't creepy drama. This is going to be horror. It's not so scary that someone that's not really into horror movies couldn't watch it. So I'd definitely recommend it for people that are kind of shy about horror movies. And Rebecca Hall just gives this great performance of playing a woman, grieving, and then also dealing with very strange things, learning things she didn't know about her husband that then end up turning out to be really spooky and scary. And it's great. She gets across a lot of emotion without having a big, loud, screamy meltdown like a lot of actors have in horror movies now to convey their trauma. I'm getting a bit sick of this trend in horror movies. If you haven't gleaned that, she does that, but she does it quietly, and and it's great. It's a great low-key performance, Rebecca Hall for The Night House.
Okay, and like Loki, the trickster god, I think you may have played a trick on us or on yourself, because I'm looking at it, and The Night House is listed as a 2020 film.
Oh,
I was thinking, well, she's had Rebecca Hall has had quite a year with The Night House and her own directorial debut in passing. But I think you may have snuck one of last year's performances into this year's Noscars ceremony. And we're an outlaw. We're all for the outlaws. So if you feel like that it was such a good performance that it outweighed all of the performances of 2021, so be it. So be it. That is your choice. But I hate to do this in the middle of this massive broadcast being broadcast out to millions. Embarrass you like this. But Rebecca Hall, The Night House sounds like a great film. Sounds like my kind of horror film, like The Haunting. That's sort of my ground zero for that's the tenor of horror that I like. The Others, another like lonely lady in a house, reeling from the trauma of being beset by ghosts. But she is your Noscar nominee for Best Actress for 2020 and 2021. So what do we have for Best Actor?
For Best Actor, I have Anthony Ramos for In the Heights. He plays the lead character, Usnavi.
I am Usnavi, and you probably never heard my name. Reports of my fame are greatly exaggerated, exacerbated by the fact that my syntax is highly complicated, because I immigrated from the single greatest little place in the Caribbean, Dominican Republic. I love it. Jesus, I'm jealous of it. And beyond that, ever since my folks passed on, I haven't gone back. God damn, I gotta get on that. The milk is gone bad. Hold up just a second. Why is everything in this fridge warm and tepid? I better step it up and fight the heat, cause I'm not making any profit if the coffee isn't light and sweet. Abuela, my fridge broke. I got café, but no con leche.
Ay, Dios. Try my mother's old recipe. 1 can of condensed milk.
Nice. Oh, hey, your lottery ticket.
Paciencia y fe.
That was Abuela. She's not really my Abuela, but she practically raised me. This corner is her escuela now. You probably thinking I'm up Schitt's Creek.
I've never been north of 96th Street.
Well, you must take the A train. Even farther than Harlem to northern Manhattan and maintain. Get off at 181st and take the escalator. I hope you're writing this down. I'm gonna test you later. I'm getting tested. Times are tough on this bodega. 2 months ago, somebody bought Ortega's. Our neighbors started packing up and picking up, and ever since the rent went up, it's gotten mad expensive. But we live with just enough.
Usnavi, has a dream of returning to the Dominican Republic and opening up a restaurant cabana there. But over the course of the movie, you get to see this neighborhood and the changes happening. And there's a bit of a George Bailey, It's a Wonderful Life. This neighborhood needs you, George Bailey. And he's just so great to watch. And he is so full of life. And the songs, he's very good and very engaging, and it's this part on stage was played by Lin-Manuel Miranda. It's the first musical he won all the Tony Awards for. And Ramos, he puts his own spin on it. You can see how Lin-Manuel Miranda definitely would have played this role before, but I can't really pin this down because he's playing this average guy, but just so likable but relatable, even though I don't have anything really resembling his experience. And I just want everything to work out for him. It's great, and I'm glad that he got to be the lead of this movie. There's a lot of things working for this movie, so he doesn't really carry it all on his own, but the movie just definitely doesn't work without him.
So those are your actor awards, and it sounds like you like this movie In the Heights. Are we going to see it represented in the major awards, Best Director and Best Picture? The audience awaits.
I think that I think audience is in for a twist, a Shyamalan twist, because my choice for best director is M. Night Shyamalan for Old.
Wow.
Which, once I was going through my list of movies I'd seen that hadn't been nominated for Oscars, I'm like, oh, well, yeah, of course. That makes sense. The approach he takes to this movie is so delicate. It's so deliberate. He finds like great, like quiet moments to really humanize the characters and create intimacy. But then the suspense scenes are thrilling. It's like, oh yeah, he used to do like Hitchcockian suspense, like in the Sixth Sense and Unbreakable and Signs, and he's like back on top of his game, and he even works himself into the movie. He has a cameo, of course, that is maybe the least grating cameo he's had in I don't know how many movies. There's just so much going right for this movie. He made all the right choices. So he's my pick for best director.
As the host of an M. Night Shyamalan podcast, there might be some question as to, your neutrality on this subject, but we don't need neutrality. You're a Shyamalan fan, so, let your freak flag fly. And does that mean that Old is going to be winning the best picture in your NONminees?
Well, twist again. My choice for best picture is In the Heights.
Wow.
I saw this movie in theaters. It's one of the only movies I saw in theaters last year, and it just felt like magic. It felt like the first time I saw Singing in the Rain. It's like, wow, this is what movies are. This is what movies can do. And when the characters break into song, it just feels so natural because there's so much vibrancy and life to the movie.
Take 5. Phone call. Lotto office.
What are these lotto numbers?
We sold a winner yesterday.
Oh shit, I played, bro.
Yo, let's talk profit sharing. I want a cut of your cut.
Yeah, my cut is 0.
Man.
What's the payout? And don't tell me no $500. That's spending a lot of money on these tickets.
96,000. Damn. 96,000.
Dollars? Holla.
96,000. That's a lot of spray can. 96,000.
Yo, if I won the lotto tomorrow, well, I know I wouldn't bother going on no spending spree. I pick a business school and pay the entrance fee. And maybe if you're lucky, you'll stay friends with me. I'll be a businessman richer than Nina's daddy. Tiger Woods and I on the links, and he's my caddy. My money's making money. I'm going from pole to moto. Keep the bling. I want the brass ring like Proto.
Oh no! Here goes Mr. Braggadocio. Next thing you know, you lying like Pinocchio.
Yo, if you scared of the bull, stay out the rodeo.
Oh, I got more flows than Obi-Wan Kenobi. Oh, you better stop rapping. You not ready. It's gonna get hot and heavy, and you already sweat. Yo. I'm sorry. Was that an answer? Shut up. Go home and pull your damn pants up. As for you, Mr. Frodo of the Shire, what? 96 G's ain't enough to retire. Come on.
I have enough to knock your ass off its axis.
You'll have a knapsack full of Jack after taxes.
96,000. Ay, alabanza. 96,000.
And the big musical number, I mean, one of the big ones is 96,000. There's the lottery. Who's going to win the lottery ticket? It's gone up to $96,000, and the whole town, the whole neighborhood gets to sing like what they would do if they won the money. It's directed by John M. Chu, who loves to choreograph things in water. So there's a big number in a pool, very like Esther Williams style, and it's just it's a very light movie. This is just a hangout movie, a vibe movie. You're just spending time with the characters in this neighborhood, getting to know them, and you just like all of them. You want everything to work out for them, and I'm watching the movie just following them in whatever they do. And there's no like big plot machination that like, they've got to solve this. These characters are so well established. I just want to see what happens to them. And as I like mentioned before, like Anthony Ramos as Navi has his dream, and I want him to get his dream, but I want him to stay also in the neighborhood. And it's this very emotional conflict that made me think of Frank Capra's It's a Wonderful Life. And I mean, this movie's so good. I loved it. I felt it went underseen, and I think everyone needs to watch this movie and just have a wonderful time for a couple hours.
Well, this has been a wonderful time, and it hasn't been a couple of hours. But if you want to spend many hours, I'm speaking to the listeners now. If you want to spend many hours with AJ Gonzalez and his film insights and the dulcet tones of his voice, you can find him on on the Director's Wall podcast with my co-host Bryan Connolly. You've been his co-host longer than I have, and you graciously welcomed a third into your cinematic lovemaking, and it's been a joy to have you on the show many times over the years that we've been now doing the World Is Wrong podcast, and I have spent many hours enjoying the Director's Wall podcast, and I encourage anyone who likes this podcast to listen to potentially a better one in the Director's Wall, where you are currently exploring the films of Francis Ford Coppola, but you've already gone through all of the films of M. Night Shyamalan, this year's Best Noscar Director nominee from AJ Gonzalez. You have any final words for our audience?
Just that I'm glad that the World Is Wrong does this, has this tradition of the Noscars, and I'm so glad to be a part of it and just share these movies that maybe you heard of, maybe you hadn't, maybe you've been putting them off, and here just a further recommendation. You should really check out these movies, because I love them, and I just want to share that joy that these movies bring to everyone out there.
Wonderful.
Hi, I'm Bryan.
And I'm AJ.
And we have a podcast called The Director's Wall,
examining a filmmaker's career film by film. First up was M. Night Shyamalan, then Francis Ford Coppola. Who's next? Is there anything to this whole auteur theory? Find out on
The Director's Wall.
Subscribe via Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or your preferred listening platform.
What do you think of AJ's NONminees?
Totally expected. I know him so well, I think. I'm like, of course you're going to pick The Outsider musical and your M. Night Shyamalan movie and the Beatles movie. It's like, if there was a Ron Howard movie this year, he would have picked that too, but there wasn't one. So I never saw In the Heights. What's interesting is I just remember everyone hating it. So I feel like that is some true World Is Wrong pick right there. Like, did you ever watch it?
No, but after that, I got it queued to watch.
I think with that movie, it wasn't that people hated it, but people were underwhelmed by it. And I think it had the misfortune of coming out around the same time as the Spielberg West Side Story, which everybody's in love with for some reason. And so, like, I feel like if it was the only sort of like multicultural musical this year, then maybe it would have gotten a little more, buzz or praise. But it kind of came and went quickly. It didn't really make much of, like, people thought it was going to be this big thing, and then it wasn't. But I'm glad AJ picked it.
Yeah. Did you see Gunpowder Milkshake?
No, but I remember seeing the trailers for it and being like, okay, I'll watch that. So that seems like a great, like, Sunday afternoon, like, I'm just going to relax and watch something really fun. It does look like just a good time.
You guys are so funny. You're like...
What?
I mean, I guess we're all funny and perverse. Well, just there's something about these sort of hyper stylized, violent movies, like the John Wick movies. Just didn't, like, the first one I watched, I got bored. Like, with them, I just get bored. I get
Oh,
bored
really?
and traumatized. They're. But it's so funny because both of you, if I ask you to watch a movie that is about something in the real world where one bad thing happens, you'll both be like, oh, I can't watch that. But you'll be like, isn't it fun to watch just like 100 people get killed?
Yeah. Yeah,
it's so much fun.
Like, I'd be so good in war dropping bombs on people, but I could not handle shooting people on the ground. You know, I couldn't do that. But if it's like, who's down there? 20,000 people? Okay, I don't know. What does it mean to me? But
jeez. That's a frightening glimpse into your soul, Bryan.
I'm kidding. I think it's because, well, movies like Gunpowder Milkshake, to me, like, they look sort of like in that world of, like, the Kill Bill world, like that sort of, like, video game where the violence is so over the top. And this is how it is in most action movies, where it's just so ridiculous that it's not upsetting, because it's like watching like a dance sequence in a movie. It's pure fantasy and fiction. Whereas if it had like one person getting killed and it was sad and you knew who they were and it was emotional, then it's more of an upsetting thing. But I don't know. I feel like the same thing with horror movies. Like the horror movies that really get to me are like the quiet ones about like a family and there's not a lot of people. But when it's like ghosts and monsters and buckets of blood all over the place, then I just think it's funny and it doesn't really bother me at all. I think because it's so extreme that it's just ridiculous. That it doesn't hit emotions other than like, this is silly. Like Rambo's silly, Deer Hunter upsetting. You know, it's just like, it's just how it is.
Wrong. I'm the opposite. Rambo is upsetting. Deer Hunter is an inspiration. Well, because I just think it takes, there's something that's inspired about giving things their emotional weight, including people's, it's just a different way of looking at things. And there are some, like we mentioned, Kill Bill, that got in under the wire. There are some films that are like that get in under the wire. I don't know, but he gave it an award for stunts, and I'm sure the stunts were amazing if I could have like really paid attention to them. But mostly I was just, my brain was turning off while I was watching it. Well, we can always count on AJ to. I love what he does because his tastes are so populist in their way. Like he's really, like you said, Ron Howard. He's really into popular movies, and at the same time, he is such a champion of maligned popular movies, which is a weird category in and of itself.
Yeah.
That he's, I just like that he can be so iconoclastic while also being so middle of the road.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It makes him a great person to talk to about films.
No, I agree.
Because it makes you look at these films that you think of as middle of the road, like a film like In the Heights, and be like, wait, I don't like it because, or something has kept me from watching it because I think it's too something, but but here's someone saying, no, this is another misunderstood film.
Yeah.
That is worthy of your attention. So
let's
all put it on our list. And Old, of course, I think we all, that may show up in some form or another in our lists. Anything else from his list that you feel like is worth mentioning, or shall we move on?
I'm going to wait because the rest are on my list, which we're about to do. So I don't want to jump the gun,
Okay, well, let's not jump the gun. Let's here's the starter pistol has been fired, and
all right.
You are off.
All right, so I have 14 movies. And I'm going to count them down to the top 5, and then in the top 5, I'm going to give you my favorite kind of. I'm just going to do picture, director, screenplay, actor, actress, and that's it. I don't need to go into subcategories. I think that's fine.
I like how you've got that organized, Bryan. I like it.
And so I'm going to start off with a few movies that I'm a little biased towards because they're by filmmakers that I know. But I was really lucky this last year in 2021 to know so many great filmmakers that put great movies out, which I think more than ever before. I had so many friends where I kept going to festivals or premieres or seen it online or whatever. And it was just a really exciting time, kind of like all of these people together, finally getting a lot of these people, it's their first feature, or maybe even all of them. Yeah, it's their first feature. So I want to start with a movie called Lucky Doug by Eric Rousseau. And it's a comedy. It's a silly comedy. It's a no-budget comedy. It's about sort of like a weird kind of simple man is how you describe it, or like a Homer Simpson type who gets into the cat food industry. It is hilarious. There's some great, very funny scenes. Our special guest, Jasmine Moreno, is in it. It's just a very funny, weird movie. It played at a few fests. It's not available yet to see. So if it's at a festival near you, go see it. Shot in Austin. Just like a good, silly... Like, it's a kind of independent movie you want people to make, but they don't. It's just like, this is just a fun 90-minute silly movie that with no weight to it. But it's just like, it's just ridiculous in the right way. So, Lucky Doug, check it out. I have a cameo in it. I don't say
Lucky
anything.
Doug.
Lucky Doug.
You said Lucky Doug.
Yeah.
I thought you said Lucky Duck. Okay, let's make sure you get that. Don't look for Lucky Duck. It's Lucky Doug.
Doug. Yeah, Lucky Doug. And yeah, it's good. And there's a great scene by the great John Golson in there as the head CEO of a company, and he steals the show, and it features him and a cat.
Wait a second.
And it's amazing.
Wait a second. Hold on a second. You and AJ with your trying to use these Noscars as a tool of self-promotion. You're basically I love this movie that has the star of my movie, someone who had a cameo in my movie, a movie that I'm in.
Like I said, I'm biased towards these first few. Like, these are people that I know.
Bryan.
Lucky Doug's good. Check out Lucky Doug. See it.
You like it so much, you put everyone in it in your movie.
The next movie is called Ultimate World, directed by Nathaniel Hendricks and Spencer Lucas.
You know what you should do? There's this arcade. You should go to their men's restroom. Don't worry, it has a lock. There's a phone number written on the wall. Call it.
This is another movie made in Austin. Low-budget comedy, but amazing, brilliant, kind of these surreal moments, these hilarious scenes that are like, it's got one of the best montages of any movie I've seen in a really long time. Again, scene stealer John Golson shows up, has a great moment where he goes through his entire life and explains to you his entire life, and it's a great bit of acting. Again, this movie's going through festivals. I don't think it's online yet, but check out Ultimate World. Great soundtrack, just really funny jokes. Highly recommend Ultimate World. All right, still
Okay.
with me? Okay.
Number 13, Ultimate World.
All right, then we have Night on 6, directed by my good friend and co-collaborator Moet Jaswell. And this is a drama comedy. It follows a woman around downtown as she's sort of like waiting to, she's about to get married. And it's just kind of her just sort of realizing like kind of her life or what her life should be. But it has that kind of nice, kind of lost in translation, sort of like you're just kind of floating through a city at night with a bunch of different people coming in and out. Really, really good. The main actress, Yola Liu, is great. She's a local comedian here in Austin. Fantastic movie. Again, it's still on the festival circuit. It's not available readily yet. But if you see it anywhere, check it out. It's really, really good. And it has, what I like in it, long shot of somebody driving. Like a good 5-minute shot of somebody driving at night. And that's what I like to see in a movie.
If only he would eat a sandwich afterwards.
No, that didn't happen.
Then you'd be
There's
in
none
heaven.
of that, unfortunately. Then, Why Am I Doing This? A film about touring by my good friend Eric Fundingslam.
What's a crazy tour story? I mean, I hear about other people's tour stories and I think they're crazy. When I think about stuff that happens to me, I'm just like, I don't know, nothing ever happens to me.
If anybody who's not a musician has a conception of touring, it's probably based on sort of mythology from popular culture.
If you hear a crazy story about bands on tour, you see like movies about documentaries and stuff, where they're down in fists of vodka.
Big bands tour and they come to town in a bus and they party you out and they shag a few groupies and they move on down the road into the sunset after that.
Old people think it is what it is, which is you're driving around in shitty circumstances, making no money, and it's uncomfortable. But, you know, if you want to do it, you're young, do what you want. Young people think it's like a nonstop party, which it isn't.
I would say 75% of tour is boring as fuck. You have 10% of you're actually on stage, like playing music or like doing stupid stuff with your bandmates. And then most of the time you're just sitting there.
I would say that the fantasy of touring is probably Almost Famous, and the reality of touring is The Road or Mad Max, where you constantly feel like you're about to run out of fuel.
You may as well just like hook a vacuum cleaner up to whatever paltry sum of money you've ever accumulated in your life and just...
You know, nobody really writes books or makes films until now about the drudgery of you know, just sitting in a van, hating the guy next to you, you know, losing all your money and your girlfriend breaking up with you.
I call them prove-it tours, you know, where your van keeps breaking down or you get broken into or just bad things keep happening over and over again, and you have to band together and just help each other not get pissed off and quit and go home.
I mean, I grew up wanting to do that. That was just kind of part of the dream. That was the dream job for me, is that I wanted to be like schlepping my crap around and like working my ass off day and night and playing music for people.
It's like when you hear women talk about giving birth and, you know, they'll have a baby and they'll tell you the story about how brutal and gnarly we always hear. It's always like some heroic story of what they went through to get this human being into the world. It always blows my mind as a woman who has no children. And then they'll talk about wanting to have more, and I'm like, wait a minute, you went through all of that and you want to do it again?
Why do we put ourselves through this? It's because when it transcends and when it hits, there's nothing quite like it.
What are you going to do?
More stories!
Recap. More stories? Well, I don't know. Time.
What?
Hang on, I'm going to bring the mic to the alley. You can tell that to.
This is a fantastic movie. It's on YouTube. You can watch it. It's fucking great. It's a documentary about just interviewing different bands and musicians about what it's like to tour like in a punk band, which is not glamorous. You're in a van, it smells, like you're going to shows where there's nobody there, like the kind of like the grueling process of touring when you're just a tiny little band. And it has a lot of great musicians and artists in there. Steve Albini is in it talking about it. Just a lot of like great people from Olympia that you'll recognize if you're into Olympia music scene. It's just a really solid doc. It's a little long, but you don't care because it's just really interesting to hear these people tell these. It's just one great story after another. It's really fun. It's totally great. I can't recommend it enough. And yet that is, you can find that on the YouTube.
Why am I doing this? Number 11.
Yeah. Then, the final of sort of the movies by people I know, Woodland's Dark and Days Bewitched, A History of Folk Horror, directed by Kayla Janice, an author, film programmer, great lady.
Folk horror is based upon the juxtaposition of the prosaic and the uncanny.
It's strange things found in fields, lights flickering in dark woods, the darkness in children's play, being lost in ancient landscapes.
The devil having a cup of tea with you.
The power of ritual and the power of collective storytelling.
Ancient wisdoms, if you like, that have been long repressed and forgotten, rise up again, very often to the consternation of complacent modern man.
It's a way of accessing all those layers of meaning that build up in a landscape, that build up in a culture, and that often build up unofficially.
It's a sort of illegitimate culture that has sustained just through sheer force of will of the people, you know, the folk.
Folk horror ultimately asks, what if the old ways were right?
She made this movie is like a total labor of love. It's like 4 hours long, but it's awesome. I watched it at a film festival last year, and it just goes through the entire history of folk horror. Movies kind of like The Wicker Man, Witchfinder General, like that kind of horror movie. A lot of like pagan imagery in the woods, like Midsommar would be something like that. And it's just really great. The interviews are awesome. That like it's one of those movies about movies where this is a documentary and you're just watching it and you're just like, oh, I want to see that. I want to see that. And by the end of the movie, you have a list of like 50 things that you want to see just because the movie just sells it and makes it so exciting. And that is, I think, done playing festivals. You can get it on Blu-ray through Severin Films. There's also a box set they put out that's like a collection of 20 of the movies mentioned in the doc. But it's also still playing at theaters. Like it's playing at the AFS theater here, I think, at the end of March or in April. So like it's totally worth checking out. Don't be scared by the running time. Maybe it's better to watch it at home and you can watch it like a TV show where you watch an hour a day. But so worth it. So very, very good. Especially if you're into horror and are hungry to find kind of horror films you didn't know about.
And could you say the title again? It's Woodland, Dark, and Days Bewitched.
A history of folk horror.
A history of folk horror.
Yeah.
Cool. Just want to make sure people have the... And we'll be posting the entire list of our Noscars NONminees in the show notes and on our website. So if you're stressing out and being like, how do I write down all these movies? Don't worry. Yeah. We'll have that there for you because we want you to be able to check all these films out. Okay, we are now into the top 10. We're at number 9.
Number 9, and these are all movies by people I don't know. So number 9, M. Night Shyamalan's Old. AJ talked about it extensively. I guess I'm biased still in the way that I hosted the Director's World episodes about M. Night Shyamalan, but if you listen to those, you probably heard that I didn't like most of them. So maybe I'm not...
Yeah, some of the best ones you don't like. It's crazy.
But Old, I think, is his best movie since Signs. I really loved it. I thought the story was so exciting. I thought the acting was incredible. Like, the twists really did work for me. Because it wasn't like the same kind of twist. It felt more organic in this movie. It felt more like it's just explaining to you slowly how things are working in this movie. And it really does feel like just a really, really good Twilight Zone episode. But I think it's just fantastic. And it's weird. It kind of came out and no one really saw it. And that's too bad. I think this is one of the best horror movies of last year. And just, yeah, it's just a good time. You saw it, right?
Oh yeah. I think it's his best film since Lady in the Water. Which is probably his best film. It's not his best film, obviously. The first two, like Sixth Sense and Unbreakable, are awesome. But Lady in the Water is my favorite Shyamalan movie. I wish it was just made movies like... I wish that had been successful and he had just sort of gone into this weird little whimsical world and be working with Paul Giamatti all the time. But
you know, maybe they can settle in and do that event. Maybe that still can happen. You know, they're both young people.
It's okay. No, it's old is great, and you're absolutely right. I shouldn't use it as my way to get back into a fight about that and The Happening as two of the great, the most world is wrong films.
You know, I'm open to do an episode on them. If you want to convince me they're great, I'll listen to you. I'll listen to your argument.
Let me sing the songs of these movies.
You'll be singing alone in a vacuum. All right.
That's nothing new for me. Nothing new for me. Okay. We're moving on from old.
Number 8. The Suicide Squad by James Gunn.
Oh.
I don't like superhero movies. I did not like the first Suicide Squad movie called Suicide Squad. In fact, I hated it. But there's something like I really like James Gunn a lot. And he, I think, has raised comic book movies up to a place where I actually like them because he realizes they should be fun, you know, which everyone else forgot. So like I love the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I like his voice in general. I think like all the movies he's made, like Slither and like the scripts for the like Romeo and Juliet and stuff are really funny and gross and violent, but just like super clever and just such good writing. And this movie's great. It's really, really fun. And it kind of flopped at the box office, which is too bad. Even though it has sort of a spin-off HBO show, Peacemaker, which people like. But the movie, it just, Margot Robbie's really good. Idris Elba's really good. Like Viola Davis, Nathan Fillion, even Jay Courtney, who I don't usually like, is good in this. Pete Davidson. Like, it's just a really fun, ridiculous, over-the-top comic book movie. Saw it the week it came out. Totally shocked that nobody cared, and then the world moved on. Because I was like, this is what these movies should be, and it's half the length of an Avenger. Sign me up. Like, this is good. That's a good time at the movies. The Suicide Squad.
Have you watched Peacemaker?
No, I really want to, but I'm waiting. For me, with shows, I like to wait till the show's done, like a season is done, and then
it's done.
Then I'll get. Oh, is it? Then I'll watch it. I should watch. Have you watched it?
Yeah. Again, I'm in the. So this is. I have the same note about like is all this violence really fun? But with the Suicide Squad and with Peacemaker, exactly what you're talking about. There's a cleverness and an intelligence and a joy in just the process of making movies that wins me over and carries me through. But I definitely walk away from the Suicide Squad and the Peacemaker sort of feeling like I don't necessarily want to live in a world where people think this is funny. This stuff isn't funny, you know. It's not.
You don't think people's heads popping off is funny?
Just the wanton killing of like there's. I feel like there's a scene that happens in both the Peacemaker and in Suicide Squad where there's just like a bunch of innocent people get killed because one of the heroes can have a like oops moment is like, and then we're supposed to laugh at that.
Yeah,
that sort of collateral damage to stupid Americans, like Homer Simpson with an automatic weapon. That it's troubling for me, but I hear you. Like again, when it's great, when the filmmaking is great enough, I'll go along for the ride, even if I'm not 100% consenting. My mind says no, but my body says yes. James Gunn. I want a talking shark. Give it to me. Give it to me.
Yeah. All right. So, number 7, Boss Level by Joe Carnahan. This is a movie that's technically listed as 2020, but because of the pandemic or whatever, it didn't really come out until 2021. So that's why I'm counting it. It was made available on Hulu in March of 2021. Great movie. It takes that Groundhog Day premise, but puts it in a crazy, insane action movie, sci-fi movie. And it stars the great Frank Grillo, who is like my favorite current action star. He is handsome. He's awesome. He's just so charismatic. The villain is the accurately cast Mel Gibson. And it's just Frank Grillo versus Mel Gibson. and this insane sort of play on sort of like video game logic. Naomi Watts is in it. It's just batshit crazy and totally awesome and fun. And everyone forgot about it by the end of the year, and it's on nobody's list, even though it was the most entertaining action kind of genre movie of the year, I thought. Like, I think it was just like, Will Sasso's in it. We love Will Sasso. Michelle Yeoh is in it. Like, it's awesome. And it's just from minute one, you're like, I'm into this. This is so good. Again, insanely violent, but it's in this like heightened sort of like, video game world. And it totally won me over. And I don't even usually like Joe Carnahan. I think his movies like are kind of dumb, but like this one it worked. It's great. It's on Hulu. Check it out. It's awesome.
Okay. It's in the queue. It's in the queue. Gotta check
All right.
it out.
Check it out. It's fun. Number 6, the best horror film of the year, Malignant by James Wan. I love James Wan a lot. I like everything he does. Like since Saw to now, I've just been a fan. This is his play kind of on a giallo. So it's very much him trying to do, in a way, sort of like an Italian horror film of the 70s. But not in the self-referential way that other people have recently tried to do giallos. This is all James Wan, very unique. The big twist in it is totally insane. And maybe you see it coming, but it doesn't matter because the idea of it is so ridiculous. Like, the premise of this movie is so silly and it's so ridiculous, but everyone involved in the movie is just on board with this ridiculous thing and sells it so hard that you just go with it and you're like, okay. And you would not be able to handle this movie, so you don't need to ever watch it.
Okay.
But those who can handle horror films, this movie has great scares in it, great jumps, crazy gore, just an insane villain that just, it doesn't really make sense, but it doesn't fucking matter. And some of the scariest scenes I've seen in a movie, and like I can't even remember, probably since the last good James Wan movie, like The Conjuring or Insidious. Again, like it came out, people really liked it, but then because it's a horror film, not up for any Oscars or awards because Oscars are snobs and they don't appreciate good horror films or any horror films. But yeah, Malignant, like highly, highly recommend it. I'm sure it's available out in the world. I think it's on HBO Max. Check it out. It's incredible.
Okay, except me. Check
Except
it out,
for you,
everybody.
If you're scared, then don't watch it.
One of these days, the world will get so scary that I will go to horror films. I'll need to when I need to get really prepared for the worst. I'll just do a crash course. Okay,
all right.
So
top 5, baby.
Here we go.
Top 5. All right, so number 5, Dinner in America. This movie is incredible. Again, first released in 2020 at festivals, but then pandemic being weird, it didn't really make its way to be able to be seen until 2021, so that's why I count it. Some movies have a longer journey than others. I don't need to go too much in depth in this because we're actually going to devote a whole entire episode to it soon. But it's directed by Adam Raymeyer. It's just an amazing, weird little movie about a punk kid who just kind of takes over this family, and then there's some surprising things that happen that are unexpected emotionally, and it wins my award for Noscar for Best Screenplay.
Okay.
Is this movie.
Okay.
Dinner in America, which is tied with the movie I'm going to mention after this. The Best Screenplay is a tie.
Okay.
But this is one of the 2 movies up for Best Screenplay. I think the screenplay, you'll hear us talk about it in the episode about this movie, but the script is why this movie is so good, along with the performances. It takes a premise that seems like you've seen it before, any kind of movie that you feel like you've seen before, but takes it to just another level. And the dialogue is so fun and great, and the characters are so well written, and it's just like there's not a wasted beat in this movie. Incredible. Dinner in America. Check it out. Again, that's a hard one to find. I don't know. I think it's done at festivals, but unfortunately, no one in Hollywood wanted to embrace it. It's not on Netflix. It's not up for an Oscar. It's not up for nothing. So what can you do?
Well, just Spoiler alert, folks, there is no argument when we discuss Dinner in America. We are fully on the same page as far as that. We'll talk about it. You can tune into that episode. That's the episode right after this one. So
next week.
You won't have to wait long.
Yeah. Number 4, also winner for Best Screenplay, Zola by Janissa Bravo.
Hey, last month I went dancing at this cute spot in Florida where my roommate's girl made like 5 G's a night. Because of my friend.
We just met yesterday and you already trying to take whole trips together?
Be ready by 2.
Hey, sis! You want to hear a story about how me and this bitch fell out? It's kind of long, but it's full of suspense.
You want to go somewhere with me?
That's my place. Shut it so bad.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you thanking you today for all the bounties that you bestowed upon us, Jesus.
What brings you to temple?
Hey, we making some money.
Making that money.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, damn cute. From here on out, watch every move this bitch makes.
I swear on my life, her nappy ass hair was up in my face.
Word.
Y'all want to trap?
Okay, wait, hold up.
Do not trip.
I got you, girls. A real nice spot.
This is messy. You are messy. Your brain is broke.
Is this what you came here for, Zola?
Do it look like I came for this?
All this money you made. I'm so proud of you.
I don't with you. No more.
I didn't do nothing wrong.
That's my place.
I came to dance.
No, we're done with that.
Why you on my Twitter? Why you on my Facebook? Why you on my Tumblr?
Why you DMing me? Sis, why you tagging me in photos you don't know?
Sis.
Let me know.
Yes, sis.
This movie is so good. And this was, to me, one of the biggest shocks that it wasn't up for any awards, because people really did like it. The only movie that I know of based on a Twitter feed, as it follows this crazy story about this stripper going on this insane Florida adventure. It has shocking parts in it. It is definitely like a very R-rated comedy, but with some really good emotional, moments. And the acting is just incredible from everybody. It's just so good. Like Taylor Page's Zola should have gotten an Oscar nomination. Riley Keough, however you say her last name. Elvis's granddaughter. She's really good as Stephanie. It's so funny. It's so good. It's so well directed. Janissa Bravo is one of my favorite filmmakers of now. Her movie before this, Lemon, is incredible. And I think we're going to keep seeing more great things from her. Did you watch Zola?
No, it's one of those ones that I knew that you were going to give love to, and I in all my Noscar research, I'm kind of like, okay, well, I can't wait to hear you talk about it, and then I'll watch it. I'm very excited.
I think it's some of the most exciting filmmaking. Like, there's certain scenes where I'm just like that feeling, that goosebumpy feel where you're in the hands of like a director doing something new. And that's what you get that a lot from Zola, where you're just like, oh my God, I've never seen a moment like this. It's just so exciting. And it's just the whole movie unfolds is so thrilling. It's on Showtime. Check out Zola. It is awesome. It is so good. And it's a travesty that it's up for 0 Noscars.
No, 0 Oscars.
It's zero Oscars.
It is
up for all the Noscars.
All the Noscars.
It won Best Screenplay Noscar for me. All right.
Excellent.
Number 3.
Okay.
Number 3, my only TV entry. Episode 1 of Season 6 of Inside Number 9, Wuthering Heist. It's a 30-minute episode based on the old Italian way of doing theater called Commedia dell'arte, which is a way they did dell'arte. In the 1600s in Italy, they did these plays where they would wear these extravagant masks and these characters would kind of be these sort of almost like not one note, but they'd be kind of like very exaggerated. Like here's the, you know, like this kind of millionaire, and here's like stock characters, you know, and they decided to do a whole half-hour show that's basically Reservoir Dogs as if it was that kind of play. And it's one of the most brilliant things I've ever seen on what I still consider to be the best TV show on that nobody cares about. Inside Number 9 is just an incredible show. Every season, it's been on for 6 years now. The creators, Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith, I think are geniuses. This is a British show. I don't know where you can find it. Maybe Amazon, maybe HBO. I don't know where but to me, it's like the better Black Mirror because it's shorter, it's funnier, and there's something about it that really works every time. The whole season 6 was great, but this episode, Wuthering Heist, is like a new kind of brilliant that I didn't even know could exist. It's so funny and it's so weird.
So we're at number 2.
Number 2.
What are we?
Bad Trip, directed by, I'm going to say this name wrong, Kitao Sakurai. Is that how you say? I said that totally wrong.
I think it's pronounced Kitao Sakurai.
Great.
Kitao Sakurai.
Wonderful.
Is the director. We just want to, while we're giving him such props, we want to get Kitao's name right.
Written and starring Eric Andre. Amazing. It's just like this. It's the same kind of movie as like the Bad Grandpa and my favorite movie of the year before last, the Practical Jokers movie, where it's the prank movie with a plot like Borat. But I think this is the best of that kind of movie that's ever been made. It's so, so good. It genuinely is like what I want comedies to be like. This is like heightened slapstick, heightened visual humor, so funny. And the first time ever, it's a hidden camera movie that isn't mean. It doesn't come off as mean. Like all of the rest of them, the ones that I like Borat and all that, like the Jackass stuff, like there's still a little bit of a meanness in the way that it deals with or fools people. But this doesn't have that. And in fact, what it does is the opposite, where it kind of lifts up humanity and shows how great people can be, which I've never seen in a hidden camera comedy before. And it's just so good. And it's the funniest comedy I've seen, and I can't even remember. Lil Rel is amazing in it. And it's my pick for an Oscar for Best Actress for Tiffany Haddish.
Y'all seen these dudes before? Right here?
I don't know them.
Hey, brother. I'm looking for these dudes right here. They stole my car. Look at it. She beautiful.
That's a colorful car.
This bud right here. He like this tall, real dark, real kind of chubby. Look like a peanut. This dude right here, Chris, got like a big nose, got that white boy nose, but black features.
All right.
Matter of fact, might have to staple his nuts. You know what I'm saying? If y'all see these niggas right here, they stole my car, I'm gonna kill these niggas. Just like that. Just like fucking that.
Now don't tap in here now.
That girl, she could have came in here and started blazing.
Exactly. Look what she wrote. They stole my car and I want it back, or I'll kill them both. And that's what the terrorism is great. You'll get locked up for that.
She is my favorite actress of the year. In this movie, she is incredible. And it's just so funny. And what she's all in it on this character, and the fact that she didn't get an Oscar nomination for even supporting actress is bullshit. Because she's so good. And the character feels so real. And she plays sort of this escaped convict going after these poor guys. And it's wild, it's crazy, and surprisingly full of heart. And like this movie's on Netflix. It came out, and then in classic Netflix, buried and never advertised again. And I think people forgot how great this movie is. But here on The World Is Wrong...
Well, not if they're listening to the Noscars.
Not if they're listening to the Noscars. Bad Trip is so worth your time. Please watch it. It is the best.
Yeah. Bad Trip. I think this is the first of a mini wave, a little that Bad Trip is going to spread across this podcast. So where are we at with number 1?
Number 1. And this was like... I knew before I saw it was going to be number 1, and then when I saw it, I was like, there's going to be no movie better than this, and I was right. And that might even be the case for this year. This might be my pick next year and every year after, because I can't think of a movie better than Annette by Leos Carax.
First time I fell in love woke up next to the girl and escaped fast and far. But Anne has changed me. What I see in her is obvious. What she sees in me, it's a little more puzzling.
1, 2, 3, 4. So may we start. There she is.
This is my baby.
Excuse me a minute.
Is nothing sacred to you?
What's your problem?
Everything will be all right. I promise.
This movie is incredible. This is what movies are supposed to be, and the fact that it's up for 0 Oscars is maddening, but at the same time great because it then means that we can champion it. But like, gosh darn it, this movie's so good. It's a musical, music and script written by the band Sparks, the Mail Brothers. Adam Driver, my pick for Best Actor. He is just a powerhouse in this. He is like Brando level fucking good in this movie. Like a difficult character, a despicable character, but like you can't take your eyes off of him. Has some of the most beautiful moments I've ever seen in any movie ever. It's gorgeous looking. So this is my pick for actor, director, and picture. Annette. And it's on Amazon, and a lot of people didn't like it, and they're wrong. The world is wrong. This movie is...
The world is... Yeah.
I will go as far as say I think this movie is a masterpiece. I really do. Like, I think, like, I've never seen a movie like it. It's incredible. Please watch it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my Noscars lit. That's it.
And there's no it's fully available. On some of these films are hard to find. Annette is not hard to find.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll be talking more about that film, but wonderfully that's a fantastic list, Bryan.
Thank you.
There's several films there, a whole introduction to your cinematic world, I feel like, with 10 through 14, and then just a nice mix of films that a ceremony devoted to celebrating the best in film you think would have room for, but that leaves a lot of room for us. So, were there any harsh cuts? Were there any ones that you sort of like? Are there any honorable mentions?
No, those are the only good movies I watched last year. Everything else would start good, and then I wouldn't be into it, or that was it for new stuff. Yeah, those 14. That's what I got.
Okay. Okay. And the Bond film.
Oh yeah, that would round it out to 15. And like, I haven't seen Licorice Pizza or the French Dispatch or things that I know I'll probably like, but I just haven't had time. And they were up for Oscars, except for French Dispatch, but I'll watch them. They'll be watched.
Okay. Well, who knows? Maybe when I get to my list, you'll be like, oh, maybe I should have put that on. Who knows? Okay. Well, but my list is going to be, you just have to wait a little bit longer for that moment when I'm sure to elicit boos from the conservative Noscar, the conservative section of the Noscar audience. If you listen to last year's episode with AJ Gonzalez, where we talked about Oscars pro and con, you know that's my favorite part of any Noscars,
political speech,
of any Academy Award ceremony, when someone gets up and makes a political speech and people boo. If they make a political speech and people are just yay, then I'm less inclined. They have to come up and get booed. That's like that's
all right.
That's because they all in the end, the people who were booed at the Oscars are almost always proven right by history. So it's just such a great moment to be heroic in front of a bunch of reactionary
millionaires.
Yeah,
entitled millionaires.
Not all actors. Not all of the actors are millionaires. There's a lot of there's some dumb middle class people there too. So and mean middle class people too. Maybe even the meanest. But anyway, maybe I'm getting the booze right now.
Boo!
Okay, well, you'll be happy to know that I'm leaving the stage, and so is Bryan, and we're bringing in one of our most popular guests, the fabulous Jen Brown, who we just love having on this show. She's an actor, she's a writer, she's a director, she is a huge fan and booster of all things film, but particularly she particularly loves the horror. And I met her when she was co-hosting a podcast called Women in Caskets. And they were doing a whole series on Nightmare on Elm Street, going through all of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. And because, mostly focusing on the female characters and because it's sort of a women-driven franchise in its way. And since then, we've become great friends. And now let's invite her onto the show to tell us what her Noscar NONminees are. Dear listener, if you are just discovering our podcast, you can find all of our episodes on our website at theworldiswrongpodcast.com. You can also write to us at contact@theworldiswrongpodcast.com or follow us on Instagram at theworldiswrongpodcast. And now, back to the show.
8 notes, scale an octave. Master the scale, and you master the score.
Welcome back to The World Is Wrong, Jen.
Yay! This is what, 3 or 4 now? I love this. I feel like a special guest.
You are a special guest. In fact, you are almost a recurring character.
Yay! We'll get there.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's almost. You are a character, and you are recurring. So you are, in fact, a recurring character. And you were here for last year's Noscars Awards, and you had an epic list, and you have a somewhat less epic list to get through this time. Why don't we just start? How have you organized your Noscars NONminees?
So here's the fun thing. I was way less organized with it this year. I also happened to see way less films last year than I did the previous year. And so this is going to be a lot briefer. And I don't so much have like a standard organization. I just have a list of movies and a few different things I want to say about them. But they get awards.
You sent me a list of 10 films. So how do you want to do this?
Is it okay if I mention them first, or did you want to bring them up?
No. However you want to do it.
So, first off, last year I did not include television, even though I know we were allowed to include any media we wanted. This year, I included one television show. Even though there's a lot of television this year that was absolutely fantastic. But this particular show has to get my big, like, fireworks award for show that I so desperately needed and was completely not expecting to receive, which is We Are Lady Parts, which is on Peacock, the NBC streaming.
We Are Lady Parts. Here's a little something we thought you might like.
is me, 26, Capricorn, finishing a PhD in microbiology. And this is Lady Parts, a confused mix of hash anthems and sour girl power.
Our sound is thin. We need something more. We need lead guitarists.
We don't need a wanky, self-indulgent guitar soloist jizzing all over our songs.
It's decided.
Who would have thought that our orbits were soon to collide?
You went to St. Abigail's primary school. You played guitar in the talent show.
You got expelled for selling school furniture.
Verily 'tis I. Play something.
Play something. Play something. I don't perform. My nervy disposition induces diarrhea and vomiting.
Ew.
I vowed I would never perform again, but Lady Parts had other plans.
She's our guitarist.
It was kind of like therapy, but with a lot of screaming.
Hey, you got a problem with my lyrics?
You could do less, more. Hey!
To our newest band member, a delightful freak show, and our great new friend.
Wait, am I really that bad?
You're that good.
We're sisters. Our music is about representation. It's about being heard.
You're in a punk band?
Yes, Ma.
And you haven't been... Or...
This is us, by us, for us.
Like, little teenage riot girl Jen Brown would have just... if this existed when I was a teenager, I'm not saying I would have turned out differently, but I might have felt more supported in some of my decisions and not waited till I was, 25 to come out and really pursue my dreams. But it's a really brilliant show about Muslim rag girl punk band. And it's hilarious and well written and everything I love about everything.
Excellent. Well, you encouraged me to check it out, and I did, and I watched the first 3 episodes, and it definitely is something to recommend. So that's your choice for TV show of the year.
Yes.
Your non-minee TV show of the year. So
correct.
What else you got for us?
All right. And I'm going to start off with my best comedy. I guess that's the best way to say it. Best comedy of the year is another female-centric film that if I was a teenager and this particular movie came out, I feel like I would have felt more secure in some choices, which is Plan B.
Right now, puberty is telling you to step on the gas.
If your vagina was a car, what would it be? Ferrari. It stays covered up and completely untouched in the garage. Mine would definitely be a transformer. You think you know her? Boom. Autobots pop out. I feel like if you're following the metaphor, that means you have crabs. What?
We finally tried reverse cowgirl. And amazing, right? It wasn't that great for me, but I feel like it looked cool.
Girls are horse fucking and I haven't even had my first kiss. The fuck? Look at Hunter. Who plays hockey in a cardigan? He's like an athletic librarian.
You know, Sunny's throwing a party.
Really?
Love a good high school party with the liquors and the touching, all the other stuff, drugs.
Big night for you. Inviting your crush?
Partying and drinking. I feel so stimulated. Is this what white privilege feels like?
Okay, good choices.
Plan B is basically a raunchy teen sex comedy, except it stars 2 non-white girls, one of whom is bi and Latinx. So I personally was like, ha! Teen me. And she's unshaven. I will say I saw a lot of unshaven women in movies this year, and it made me so freaking happy as an unshaven, hairy weirdo myself. It was lovely to see a teenager in a teen film with unshaven pits and be like the badass. So
Plan
those were
B,
pluses.
sort of dude, where's my birth control?
Yes. Yes, but with these
Without the
two-
dudes.
Without the dudes. And all of it's just it's sweet, it's funny. It's the kind of message we should be sending sex positive wise to teenagers right now that I wish I had when I was growing up. That was sex positive for both sides, where the shame on the girl just is not, it's very much not considered kosher. So I loved it. And it's funny. It's funny as fuck.
Plan B. Check it out. Best comedy non-minee. What's next?
You know I love a movie that shoves as many genres as it can into one film and takes turns you wouldn't expect. And that was Jacob's Wife for me, which is my my unexpected horror of the year. Jacob's Wife, Barbara Crampton, absolute horror legend. This is a movie she had been wanting to get made for a very long time, and it shows. She is so amazing in it. It's horrifying and equally hilarious. It shifts tones wildly but successfully, which I love in a horror movie. And it does things I've never seen in a horror movie before. And I don't want to give anything away because it really just does some fun ass shit with, well, actually, you know what? I'm never going to say what kind of movie it is because if you don't know anything, it'll be even more fun going into it. Other than, it's a horror movie with Barbara Crampton that she's been championing. And that's all you should really need to know.
Okay. Unexpected horror of the year, Jacob's Wife with Barbara Crampton. And you didn't mention it, but Bonnie Aarons also in that film. And
yes.
She's always an interesting actor to see. So what's next?
Best documentary of the year for me, and also most heartbreaking cry of the year. I'm a huge fan of Adrienne Shelly. Waitress is one of my favorite movies. Her story is very heartbreaking because it's hard to bring up her name without bringing up the horrific way in which she was murdered. And this documentary is made by her surviving husband and their daughter as well, who is now a teenager. And it is an absolutely stunning, beautiful, gorgeous homage to a brilliantly talented woman who was taken from us right before she was about to really get everything she deserved. And when she was at her happiest, too. It's tragic, but it is a celebration of her life. And a celebration of survivors and of grief and learning how to not let grief completely take over you, but also knowing how to keep that person alive and never forget their memory and do right by them. It's a stunning movie, but it also will rip your heart out. So be prepared to be very sad. Just comes with that warning of yes, it's a beautiful exploration of her life and her work, but it also does talk about her murder.
Okay, best documentary, Adrienne, about Adrienne Shelly, who, if you're not familiar with her work as a writer and director, you may also be familiar with her for her work in so many great Hal Hartley films. I think that's where most of us became aware of her.
Yep.
So what's next?
So this next movie gets my award for best non-sexual nudity, because I love me some non-sexual nudity in a movie.
Okay.
And it also gets the award for greatest accidental performances, and that's Bad Trip, because that movie was exactly what I needed it to be. I'm such an Eric Andre fan, and what they managed to do with improv and hidden camera and to create an entire movie based on those two tenets with only the main cast knowing what's going on It is brilliant. It is wrong and right and perfect, and I'm not a huge prank, comedy type of person. Eric Andre is like the exception for me because he's just so absurdist and performance art comedy in a way that I just fucking love everything he does. And oh my God, Tiffany Haddish in this movie. Holy fucking shit. She's great in everything, but there's something extra special about her in this fucking film. And also, my husband is like, that's the hottest Tiffany Haddish has ever been. Like, thinks she's just really turned on by her tomboy, like dressed down, no makeup look and bad trip. And I love it. I love that he I just love it. It's just, there's something wonderful about that. And she does. She looks hot as shit in that movie. Like, I agree with him. And it's hysterical and smart. And I just, yeah. Lil Rel and Eric Andre and, oh my gosh, the woman who plays his love interest, I forgot to look up her name. She's utterly incredible in it too. Because she is super committed. But it's all really believable. It's a great time. I've watched it multiple times since it came out.
Excellent. And this is best non-sexual nudity and greatest accidental performances in Bad Trip. Yeah. Okay, so what's next?
Okay, my next award is for best overall visual direction, in that gorgeous direction, beautiful lighting, even better costumes, choreography, cinematography, all of it visually absolutely stunning. And this movie, honestly, is everything I wanted it to be until the last 15 minutes. Where the ending was fumbled a little bit, but it doesn't take away from how stunningly beautiful.
Tell us what it is.
Last night, you yelled right as I was saying it.
Okay.
Right as I was saying it. Ugh.
Okay, what is it?
Last Night in Soho.
Sorry for interrupting you.
That's okay.
Yes, so Edgar Wright's latest, Last Night in Soho. I'm with you. Surprisingly got no nominations. What's wrong with the world?
Right. Absolutely gorgeous. I wasn't, a big fan of how he decided to end it, but up until the ending, it's just a really freaking beautiful movie. It's beautiful. It's just visually stunning. So I have to give it love for that. And he directs it very, very well. And I honestly have no issue with any of it up until the last 10 or 15 minutes. But I won't let that erase, everything else I loved about the movie.
Is that Edgar Wright's first film where it's a female protagonist?
I think so. I think it might be.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. No, I think you're right.
Well, how do you feel like he did?
Well, like I said, I was a huge fan up until the last 10 minutes. And it wasn't even the choice of what was made. It was how it was justified, and the tone shift it went from being this really well thought out movie to this ending that felt more gotcha instead of actually in line with what could have been said. I don't know. It's hard to talk about it without spoiling it.
Right. Well, I recommend people check it out as well. So what's next on your list?
All right. And that leads me to... I wanted to do just a couple quick mentions, little shout outs. Pig was absolutely hands down one of the best movies of the year. Everything about it is absolutely perfect. It's my second best movie of the year. And I wanted to mention that before going into my favorite movie and, in my opinion, the best film of 2021. And that is Nia DaCosta's Candyman.
Candyman. The urban legend is, if you say his name 5 times while looking in the mirror, he appears in the reflection and kills you.
Who would do that?
Candyman. 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 Candyman.
Well, we're still alive. Let's go.
Trina, you've broken the door.
This isn't funny!
I feel really connected to this neighborhood. Cabrini Green. It was the projects. I just moved in around the corner.
The old candy factory.
I'm an artist.
You looking for Candyman? He's the monster that's part of this neighborhood.
Why are you drawn to this?
I'm hoping to spread the story all about Candyman. The mirror invites you to summon him. You should say his name. I dare you.
Candyman. Candyman.
Candyman.
Candyman.
Don't say that. Candyman.
Okay. You know I didn't see it, so tell me about it.
I know. So have you seen the original Candyman? I'm assuming that's a no.
No, I'm familiar with the story, and I know that
Okay.
it's really good.
Okay.
And if I ever decide to like terrorize myself for a year, it will be one of the ones that I put on my list.
So, Nia DaCosta's Candyman. First off, the fact that she became the first Black woman to have a movie open #1 at the box office is both amazing and sad that she was the first. But absolutely incredible that that barrier was finally broken, and very well deserved. I actually did see this in the theater. I wore a face mask the entire time, and we went during the day to make sure that we were like some of the only people in the theater. And I had Barrett and Dawn, my husband and my best friend, with me on either side of me. And since they couldn't see my facial reactions of how much I was loving it, I just kept like grabbing their arms and being like, ah, ah, like shaking my head violently, like, how amazing is this? Because the visuals and all of the mirror play that she does in this movie are absolute freaking perfection. The acting is beautiful. The integration of the original while also enhancing and evolving the story without erasing the original context. She adds a new meaning to it that is so... It's rough, but it's honest and it's real. And it says a lot about society, which, as we know, horror movies love to do. And this one does it beautifully well. And everything. I honestly, like, it's practically perfect. I just visually and like, it leaves me at a loss for words. As obviously the direction, the mirror work, the acting, the writing, the integrate, everything about it. And then you throw on top of that the visuals and then the kind of paper cutout animation work that's also done, that was used in the trailer, that was just absolutely jaw-breaking, jaw-dropping, and jaw-breaking too, really. Literally.
Well, when it drops, there's a
Right.
there's a chance it'll break.
And it's just as impactful and as stunning when it's used in the film itself as it was used in the trailer. And I just can't say enough nice things about it. It is such an utterly beautiful and stunning film.
Okay, well, I look forward to being stunned by its beauty. Well, I probably won't be.
You won't be.
But I'm always happy to hear when people bring genuine artistry to any genre that is ghettoized. And horror, so when it's horror, whether it's an action film or whether it's a comedy or, heaven forbid, a superhero film, if someone brings that extra level that says, this is a work of art, even though it's also clearly a work of commerce, that's the kind of film that an academy devoted to awarding the best in motion pictures should consider honoring.
I cannot. It is the one that I'm like, you're kidding, right? Nothing. Not even. Wow.
Well, that's what makes it available to you. For how bummed would you be if you couldn't discuss it on this Noscars episode?
That's true. I would be super bummed. There are a few movies I did really love that got nominated, but not many, to be honest. Actually, I think there are only 2 animated movies that I loved actually got nominated this year. But
oh, come on. Power of the Dog is good. And Licorice Pizza is
okay.
Very good.
I haven't seen a lot of things. Remember, I've also seen barely any of the movies nominated, with the exception of the animated movies. So,
well,
there's also that.
Yes. As always, we appreciate your contributions to our Noscars ceremony. Wouldn't be the same without you. You bring a totally unique vision to this endeavor. Is there anything you'd like to let people know about where people can find out what you're doing?
Absolutely. I can't remember if the last time I was on the Roku links to my show had been added yet, but Genre Graveyard with Jen and Phantasma, the 4 episodes that aired on El Rey in 2020, are available for free to watch on the Roku channel or directly on the web, just, at Roku.com. We also have 8 unaired episodes that we are working on finishing up right now. I'm not sure when those are going to come out, but to make sure you are ready for when they do, get on the Roku, watch those 4 episodes, follow genre_graveyard on Twitter, and let us know what you think.
We will, Jen. Thank you so much for being a part of this.
Of course. For you, anything. Well, not anything, but film related.
Gotta qualify your consent.
Yeah.
Radio 8 Ball.
Andras here. When I'm not co-hosting the World is Wrong podcast, I'm hosting and producing the Radio 8 Ball podcast, where we answer questions by picking songs at random, like picking musical tarot cards. We've hosted musical divinations for people like John C. Reilly, Patricia Arquette, Tig Notaro, and Fred Armisen, and hosted over 200 songwriters, providing the randomly chosen answers from Inara George and Dan Byrne to Mose Allison and Alan Toussaint. That's Radio 8 Ball, all one word. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts and download our app from the iTunes App Store. Okay, well, what do you think about Jen Brown's
More Bad
list?
Trip love. I love it. This is good. Bad Trip sweep. It's a sweep. I want to see that Candyman movie. I really love the original a lot, and I'm glad to hear that this new one isn't a remake and kind of more just a continuation of it.
Have you watched We Are Lady Parts or Plan B?
I've not, no.
I've watched, as I said in the discussion with Jen, I've watched a few episodes of We Are Lady Parts, and it's a good show. Kind of the tone is sort of Parks and Recreation. That's sort of the speed of it. So very like sharp, funny, but as Jen said, from a point of view you don't often see represented on TV shows of Muslim punk rock, Muslim riot girls. That's kind of. Have you seen a show from that point of view before?
Never.
Yeah.
So
bring it. Very necessary. Very necessary.
Very cool.
That's why we bring Jen Brown to turn our attention to films that we might and films and cinematic properties that might not hit our radar. So now it's on our radar. Did you see Last Night in Soho?
No, I didn't.
Brian?
I have not seen it.
Are you a fan of Edgar Wright?
Not really. I like Shaun of the Dead and Spaced, and then after that, I drop off. Yeah.
Really? Not a big Baby Driver fan?
I hated that movie. Hated Baby Driver. I'm with Anthony Bourdain on this one. He didn't like it either.
What does Anthony Bourdain know about movies?
I don't know. What do I know about movies?
We make them.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, and you worked in a video store for decades, basically.
Yeah.
You know a little bit about movies. You've earned. I trust you more about movies than Anthony Bourdain. But
anyways, no,
it's fun. No, but going back to what we were saying about movies that are just sort of fun, visceral. Like, to me, I have a hard time differentiating between Baby Driver and Gunpowder Milkshake and other film. There's a film I'll be talking about that's a sort of an honorable mention on my list. That's another one that's like that. That, sometimes it grabs me, sometimes it doesn't. But what is it about? I'm just kind of curious. We don't have to go down the full rabbit hole, but what was it about that film that made it not Kill Bill?
The piss poor writing. Terrible screenplay.
The piss poor writing.
The terrible dialogue coming out of everyone's mouth. The non-existent, awful characterization. The stupidity of just the whole thing. It just made so much didn't make sense. Scenes that felt like commercials. Just, I hated it across the board.
Boo. Boo.
Sorry, I know you all love it. Everyone loves it. I get it. I'm a man alone. Whatever. Baby Driver. You can have your Baby Driver. I don't need it. You can have it. Great. Good for you. All right, I'm walking off. All right, I'm walking off. I'm walking off the stage. Goodbye. Okay. Now you can come back.
No. Okay, no. See, why are you stealing my shtick? I'm the one who's supposed to get booed at the Noscars.
Okay.
Brian.
All right. Well, speaking of, let's do it. Let's hear your list and your picks. I'm excited. Let's see if there's any crossover. Let's see if there's a continued sweep of any of these movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
may we start?
I'm going to start off. I'm going to do this all backwards.
Okay.
I'm going to start off by just telling you the best films, what I think are the best films of the year, my favorite films of the year, or what I would say is the Noscarist films of the year. And let's just cut to the chase. We are in total agreement that Annette is the film of the year.
So may we start. So may we start. It's time to start. Our time to start. They hope that it goes the way it's supposed to go. There's fear in their heart, but they can't let it show. They're underprepared, but that may be enough. The budget is large, but still, it's not enough. So may we start. May we start. May we not start. So may we start. May we start. May we not start. It's time to start. May we start. May we not start. Right time to start. May we start. May we not start. We fashion the world built just for you. A tale of songs and fury.
Sweep.
It's the world is it's the Noscarist. It's like the world is the most wrong about it. So many people haven't seen it. I'll just tell you my experience of it is that, unlike you, I'm not a huge fan of Sparks. not fan. I'm just not a huge fan of Sparks, and I've not been a huge Adam Driver fan. He's slowly working his magic on me, but none of the actors in it were people I was particularly compelled by, drawn to see them because I love any of them particularly. The director, Leo Carax, I've been putting off seeing Holy Motors for, it feels like years, just because it's one of those films that was sold to me as like, you really need to see this on a great screen and in a great environment. So I've been putting it off. And so I guess that was the one little hook, but I didn't even know, I didn't even put together that he was the director of both films until after I had seen Annette and gotten so excited about it to want to know who was involved. And with all of that ambivalence, the film just overwhelmed me. Yeah. And I am a fan of everyone involved on a much greater level than I was before. And that's kind of what we're going to do, what I want to do as far as like why I'm laying out the best first, because I want to, throughout my list of non-minees, I kind of want to dig into the whys, because in the celebration of aspects of celebration of individual contributors to those films. So Annette was the one, but this is a list of non-minees. So there's a list of the Noscarist films of the year. And they're the ones that I found myself recommending to people the most and having them say, I haven't even heard of that, or no, I haven't seen it yet, or some version of that. So the first of those this year was Pig. Have you seen it yet?
I haven't seen it yet because it's like someday Nicolas Cage is going to die and there's going to be no more Nicolas Cage. So like I'm hoarding, like there's a lot of good Nicolas Cage I haven't seen because I want it to last. I'm rationing it out.
He's going to live for like another 20 or 30 years, I think.
Yeah, I'm rationing this one out, but it's definitely like I know I need to see it.
Well, Pig is going to be getting more love throughout this podcast. Then there is in my mind, a double feature because I saw them the same week. I hadn't heard of either of them, and they both totally took me by surprise. One is Old Henry, starring Tim Blake Nelson, written and directed by, I believe, a first-time filmmaker, Patsy Poncheroli. And it is just a very sneaky little Western. Tim Blake Nelson and Stephen Dorff, who every time he shows up in a film, I'm just like, he might be the most underrated movie star of my generation.
Oh, yeah. He's so good.
He's so over and over. Like one day we'll do an episode about Blood and Wine.
Yeah.
He's like in a movie with Jack Nicholson and Michael Caine,
and he's able to hold it.
Stephen Dorff, kind of like he steals the movie as much as anybody possibly could in that role. Yeah. Just such a fantastic actor, and in this,
great.
Him playing the heavy, underestimating Tim Blake Nelson as Tim Blake Nelson gives, I don't know. I mean, he doesn't get to play that many leads.
Never.
And so this has to be at this point, the great Tim Blake Nelson leading man performance. And you recently saw it. We were talking about doing an episode about this one. So you must have a take on it. I know it's probably not as enthusiastic as mine. I think I'm a little bit on an island with this one.
I really love the simplicity of it. I really like that it's just one location, like basically 5 speaking parts. Like I really enjoyed that. And it reminded me, like that first part of the movie felt very Coen Brothers-y in a way. Totally not a mistake.
Yeah, there's definitely a No Country for Old Men.
So different reactions to money, because in No Country for Old Men, when Josh Brolin, sees the money, he goes, yep. And in this one, Tim Blake Nelson says, nope. So different reaction. And it kind of hits the notes that you want from a Western. It has a big twist in it that I thought was totally great. I thought it kind of petered out in the last 20 minutes. I thought it kept going. It should have ended at a certain point. I would have ended it a lot sooner. But it is good. It is an entertaining movie. I just feel like I don't quite have the same excitement that you have, but I definitely enjoyed watching it. And Tim Blake Nelson is great. And like the acting from everybody's great. Like, yeah.
Maybe if you weren't vaporizing on every idea that came into your head. he has lines like that. I love the script. I really loved it. But I feel like if there are films like this that they're tough because if you recommend them, you deny people the opportunity to have the experience that made it so great, which is to stumble across it and be like, oh, a Tim Blake Nelson Western. Okay, well, sure. And then have it work its magic on you as opposed to someone tell you, hey, you should check out this film. And then you go into it with a different thing going on. So pretend that I didn't recommend this film, stock it away in your subconscious, and then sometime in the next year or so, stumble across it and think it's your own good idea to have watched this film. And then we'll all win. The other film that I was pairing it with in my mind was a film called Wild Indian that we are going to do an episode about. And that was written and directed by Lyle Mitchell Corbine, Lyle Mitchell Corbine Jr., another first-time filmmaker, surprisingly, with both Patsy Ponceroli and Lyle Mitchell Corbine Jr. They're both these are very sure films from first-time filmmakers, and I don't want to say too much about it because we're going to do a whole episode about it, but it's in my mind it's like a native noir.
Yeah, totally.
It's a very it's a crime story that is also, it has this just depth to it and a real self-incriminating darkness to it that most noir films would have. Like a guy comes back from war and he is cynical and dismissive of all those who didn't have the good sense to die in that war, and we buy that as a heroic thing. And I've just never seen that voice applied to in a native film from a native filmmaker, and it just rang so true and so unique.
Yeah,
and we'll be talking more about that. But
I guess that would be an honorable mention for me. This movie, I just saw it so recently that it's hard for me to kind of have the space to think about it. But it's really good, and I'm excited to do the episode on it.
And another one that sort of crept into this because of the performance, but it really is, the performance is also the direction and is the movie, is The Guilty.
911, this is emergency operator 625.
I've just been robbed.
Okay, sir, I need to know where you are. Last name?
Is this the fire department?
No, ma'am, you've reached 911, but I can connect you to fire. Just hold the line. What does she look like?
She was tall, pink hair, in heels. Hey, man, can you tell me how long it's gonna take?
911, what is the address of your emergency?
I just want to talk to you.
Okay, I'm hanging
I'm
up.
just up for a drive, sweetie, okay?
Is there someone with you?
Uh-huh.
Does the person you're with know you called us?
No.
Who do they think you called? Your child?
Yes, sweetie.
Does the person you're with have a weapon?
Yes.
I need the color of the car, okay? When I say the right one, say it's fine. Red? White?
It's fine.
Is it a car?
No, man.
Oh, no, just yes or no. Just yes or no answers, Emily.
I'm sorry, I have to hang up.
Give me the phone right now.
I'm gonna die.
I have a woman who's been abducted.
What are we looking for?
A white van.
That's not enough.
Come on!
Mommy?
I just talked to your mommy. She's gonna be okay.
You promise?
I promise. You have air support available?
Negative. Air support is grounded due to fire weather.
There is a scared little girl whose mother has been abducted.
I need a better location.
I'll get it.
How will you get it?
I know Emily's with you. Where are you going? What's going on?
Oh my God. Really, PD, we need medical immediately.
What's going on? Wait. Have your seatbelt on?
No.
Is Henry?
Mom.
No.
Put yours on. Now listen. I need you to pull the handbrake hard. Pull it.
I rewatched it again last night, and it is one of the best films of the year.
I don't know this one.
From Anton Fuqua. It stars Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh yeah,
as, a cop who has been put on, like, he's in the middle of a trial, or being, sort of an unjust cop murder of a young man. We learn this throughout the film, that this trial is hanging over his head, and he has been assigned to work as just a 911 operator. And the whole film pretty much takes place with him as the 911 operator, losing his mind in a room full of other 911 operators, and trying to, and getting too wrapped up in a case that all plays out almost as a radio play. So Ethan Hawke is one of the voice actors. Riley Keough is one of the voice actors, and it's him on a headset. The whole movie pretty much happens in this very confined space and plays out with mostly audio as far as the mystery of it. And Jake Gyllenhaal is giving... If he's one of the great actors of his generation, then he's giving one of the great cinematic performances of all time. It's so intense.
That's exciting.
He is at the peak of his abilities. He's so strong in it. He's and the first time you watch it, you're blown away by the performance, and the second time you watch it, you're really blown away by the movie. And because you can't make a film that's like that. There's a couple of moments where it makes me think of the Ben Stiller bit based upon the Jerry Stiller, because
the radio host guys in hell. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple of shots where you see the red light go on, and it almost like that makes you realize how great this movie is, because it never falls into that.
Yeah.
And the reason it doesn't is because the performance is so phenomenal at the center of this film. Really weird that it received no nominations.
Yeah.
At all. Really, really weird. And because it seems also like the kind of film that the Academy likes. So anyway, check it out. And really the real runner-up for me it's not a film that was in movie theaters. It's kind of TV. It got love from AJ Gonzalez. Get Back is the best film of the year. I mean, doesn't really qualify, but the stars are the most charismatic people in the world. It's got the best soundtrack. I'm so hungry. It was the best thing I saw all year. It had the funniest moments. John Lennon, he's not getting a nomination here, but he was definitely in consideration for his comedic riff on Boy Scouts and masturbation.
So Joseph, it's about this deal with FBI. I need another $1 million on the written acclamation of Dick James. I know it's hard. They died that we might wank. I'm talking about the Boy Scouts who aren't allowed to masturbate.
Oh.
It's very tempting when you're wearing shorts. If they only wore long trousers, maybe they'd stand a chance, you know. But I can tell you, you don't go blind, but very short-sighted.
Have you seen Get Back?
Not yet, no. I'm saving it for a rainy day,
Oh.
as I know it's going to be great.
Oh,
it's like 8 hours long, so it's like I know that's going to be a great 8 hours. Or a great week where I spread
flies,
it out. Like,
it
I'm excited.
literally flies by. It's crazy how fast it flies by. Like it was over too fast for me, honestly.
No, I'm really pumped for that.
And I have a couple of other just like really like they wouldn't have made my list, but they are honorable mentions. One, if I had given it more time, it probably would have made some other nominations. But No Sudden Move was such a welcome return to the out of sight vibe from Steven Soderbergh. And that's my idea of a fun time at the movies. And it's a sort of two-hander, but with also a lot of great characters in it, with Don Cheadle and Benicio del Toro, which is that should be enough. Steven Soderbergh of crime film, and your two stars are Don Cheadle and Benicio del Toro, and then just go for the ride. It is a have you seen it?
No, I've not, but it does look very good.
Are you a fan of that of Out of Sight? And
I love Out of Sight. No, it's my favorite Soderbergh movie. That movie's great.
Yeah, well, No Sudden Move is there to scratch that itch for you. And then I only really added it when you were talking about you had Suicide Squad and AJ has Gunpowder Milkshake. So I was thinking, what's the dumb movie that I like that was like that this year? And there is a film called Die in a Gunfight.
Okay, never heard of that one.
I had that feeling of like, oh man, I don't like that I'm liking this so much, but I was, and it's directed by Colin Schiffey, and it stars Alexandra Daddario and some guy with handsome guy with spiky hair. Who is he? I don't even know who, like the star, the main. Oh, I guess Diego Boneta, but Travis Fimmel, who is in Raised by Wolves, is in it, and he's great. Chewing the Scenery, Justin Chatwin. There's a lot of scenery chewing acting going on in between big action scenes, and it's just really stupid, but great. But yeah, great fun, stupid in the best way. So maybe that's my entry to whatever that would be. That, and My Own Prejudice probably kept that off my list, because that's not the kind of thing that I
usually like.
That's where I get Wise films, but I loved it. It was a joy.
Excellent.
Okay, so those are, and along those lines, just directorial shout outs to Leo Carax for Annette, Patsy Panciaroli for Old Henry, Lyle Mitchell Corbijn Jr. for Wild Indian, and Michael Sarnowski for Pig. Particularly Panciaroli, Mitchell Corbijn Jr., and Sarnowski, because those are first-time filmmakers who made films that are some of the best films of the year. When that's just super exciting, because we have, let them get to make more movies. I want to see more from these folks.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't put The Last Duel on my list because I don't think it's one of the best films of the year, but it's the screenwriting, the story of the screenwriting on The Last Duel makes it maybe the Noscarist screenplay award, because first of all, we have Matt Damon and Ben Affleck credited as writers for the first time since their win for Good Will Hunting, which has become Hollywood legend as a film that they probably that they almost surely did not write all by themselves, even though they were credited all by themselves. And then with The Last Duel, we have them credited with Nicole Holofcener, who is a really interesting filmmaker who I'm always interested. I'm always curious about what she's doing, and I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, and it's not Holofcener, but I think it's Holofcener. And in the promotion for the Last Duel, this Ridley Scott film that is sort of a Rashomon take on a rape in like the 1600s, 1500s, oldie times in ye oldie place. And the reason that I feel like it works and that I buy it is the lead acting performance from Jodie Cormier, and knowing that Nicole Holofcener is one of the writers on this rape Rashomon story. And everyone was so furious that nobody was watching The Last Duel, and I blamed The Last Duel for promoting itself as a Ridley Scott film as opposed to promoting itself as a Ridley Scott Nicole Holofcener film, because I think more people would have gone to see The Last Duel if they knew that her voice was the writer's voice in it. And to hide that in the promotion of this film, I think it's one of those cases where the film is wrong about itself. But it's definitely, if you can get beyond all of that, I am here to say that The Last Duel is a Ridley Scott Nicole Holofcener film, including whatever mojo Matt Damon and Ben Affleck can still muster, and including someone who I'm going to be talking about a lot about going forward is Adam Driver as I think this was I saw this before Annette, and this was the one that really got me, because this is a really complicated and despicable character, genuinely the villain of this piece, and he plays it with so little care as to, about being liked. And I know that's kind of his thing, but it really worked on me. It's like he brought such weird flair to a really, just a terrible guy. And all of that's working in this film. And I'll be talking, I guess, how am I going to do this? I guess I'll just reveal it because Adam Driver is my nominee for the most actor of the year.
Nice.
Now, there's a difference between the Noscarist actor and the most actor. The most actor and the most actress is an award that I give to the actor who's just had the best year working in multiple films. So it's cool when an actor is in one great film, like Lady Gaga in House of Gucci. But when an actor has one of those crazy years like Sidney Poitier had when In the Heat of the Night was out, and was he also in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner year?
Both the same year. That seems right, yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like there was another, like sometimes just an actor has an amazing year and you can't really honor it by just focusing on one film. And a lot of times they sort of cancel, all those great things cancel each other out. So in this case, Adam Driver was in The Last Duel. He's in House of Gucci and in Annette. And in The Last Duel, and in The Last Duel, he's playing like in all of these, he's playing unlikable or uncharismatic characters that he just makes charismatic, which is a real feat of acting.
Adam Lavelle? I'm ashamed to have to ask a great favour. My horse has thrown a shoe, and...
Nobody is here. I'm not permitted to open the door.
No, of course. I just wondered if I could come inside and warm myself while he's reshod. I'm so sorry to have to ask. For a moment, I hate to ask.
Lady, forgive me for intruding. I love you more than any other, and I would do anything for you. Everything I have is yours.
How can you speak to me like this?
Marguerite, what way then would I speak to you? Milady, you must know it cannot be helped. My love for you has consumed me.
How dare you?
My lady, when my lord sets his course for love...
Do not speak!
You must leave now, please.
You heard the lady. Leave us!
My lord?
I am married.
Yes. And you are saddled with a terrible burden. A cold, callous man who does not love you as I do. Who cannot appreciate you for the marvel that you are.
Please.
I only want for your happiness. I cannot bear to see you in such hardship. I know your house's finances are fragile.
My lord provides for me.
Yes? But does he know you to be the most exquisite, fascinating woman? A woman I would devote my whole life to. Oh, hear me say I'm in love with you. I know you love me too. You must.
You must leave now, please.
That's more love than I thought I was going to give the last duel on this, but so it goes. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about the Noscarist show, TV show. Last year, I celebrated the TV show Snowfall. It continues to be one of the best, but I'm not going to talk about it too much. Other than to say people should be watching this series. The acting is everyone who's in it should be a star. Will be a star. It's a great series, and can't recommend it enough. But my Noscarist show is Dope Sick.
I know most people don't think about us up there in the mountains. Many of my patients are miners. It's dangerous work, and they carry the burden of building this nation on their backs. Their own pain. These people, my people, trusted me. I can't believe how many of them are dead now.
We've begun looking at something that could be big.
OxyContin.
Purdue Pharma, they've been marketing the drug as something that's non-addictive, when it clearly is.
All your doctors are going to be asking, how is this even possible? Your most effective talking point are these magic words.
Less than 1%.
Less than 1%.
Less than 1%.
Less than 1? They told me that less than 1% would become addicted.
If OxyContin does what I think it can, it could soon become Purdue's first billion-dollar drug.
Purdue continues to lie about the drug's safety to doctors, to patients, and the FDA. We have a major case here.
Addiction rates, overdoses, and crime are on the rise across the country because of this drug.
I think maybe the medicine might be just a tad more addictive than you said.
I can't live like this anymore.
Our community is ground zero for a national catastrophe.
Purdue will not move unless we punch hard.
This is not our fault. These people want to be addicted.
I want top executives to feel some pain.
It's crucial they understand we've created the greatest painkiller in the history of human civilization. I think I can make this the biggest drug in the world.
The limited series about the fentanyl, OxyContin crisis that came about because the pharmaceutical industry captured the regulatory agencies that were supposed to be overseeing them and recategorized certain ailments as needing to be, to get prescribed this particular drug, which they were hiding how addictive it was, and that led to a massive public health crisis. And this is when the booze might start. To be watching this show at a time when pharmaceutical giants, with the support of media and politicians they underwrite, are using the very same playbook Purdue does in this true and recent story to claim the right to determine what is and what isn't medical information. When the case of Purdue Pharma makes it perfectly clear that the greatest spreaders of medical misinformation are the drug manufacturers themselves. Well, it was both encouraging and surreal. Encouraging because it made me feel less crazy about some of my own questions about our national health response, and surreal because I saw and heard so little about the series, even though it had big stars in it and it was on a big network. And it's great. What makes a great TV series for me is and maybe this is just for everyone, is the writing and the cast. And in this cast, we had Michael Keaton, Rosario Dawson, Peter Sarsgaard. Peter Sarsgaard is also one of the voices in The Guilty. We have Michael Stuhlbarg as the main baddie with the Sackler Company, and a couple of really great young actors. Will Poulter, I don't know what else he's been in, but he's been in a lot of different shows. Do you know him?
He's the guy in Detroit, right? Isn't he like the bad cop in Detroit?
Yes,
yeah,
he
and
is.
He's in that great interactive
Yes.
Black Mirror episode, Bandersnatch.
Yes.
He's good. It's funny because he kind of looks like Howdy Doody to me, but he always plays these really kind of intense characters. I really like him a lot. I think he's great. And often, like, classic Noscar, he's always overlooked and he's always good, and he should be winning awards left and right, but for some reason it just hasn't connected with people yet. Maybe because his characters are usually too difficult to wrap your mind around. I don't know. But yeah, I love him.
And also Caitlin Dever, who was a big part of, I believe, the second season of Justified. She was the young girl who sort of Margot Martindale had taken under her wing, and who Timothy Oliphant rescues from a rough situation. And she's phenomenal in Dope Sick. Definitely. She didn't get one of my acting awards, but she could be. It's hard to tell who's a lead and who's. It's funny, if she was considered the lead, she would be. I would consider her as like the. Actually, she should be. I'm changing it right now. She's definitely a Noscar nominee for, let's say, Best Supporting Actress, because just a really moving performance from an actor who I think is going to be really, really interesting over time. And something I didn't know about this show, it's created by Danny Strong. Are you familiar with Danny Strong?
Yeah, from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Great actor, but he's also a great writer. He's been writing scripts for a while now. Very political stuff. Interesting man. No, I'm a fan of Danny Strong's.
Yeah, I had not put it all together. I think he's great in the TV show Billions as Todd Krakow. He's always very, very funny, playing a really like a simpering kind of like the guy you want to kick kind of character.
Mm-hmm.
And so then to realize that he also worked with Lee Daniels,
Yep, the Butler.
on The Butler, and the series Empire, and wrote and directed Rebel in the Rye, the J.D. Salinger biopic, which I found to be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
He is now very much on my radar.
He's an interesting
and to know
guy.
that he's behind Dope Sick, there's just a lot to recommend it. And I really, really, really highly recommend, well, now I'm saying recommend a lot. I guess maybe because I really want you to see it. And a few honorable mentions. I thought it was just really fun this year that the TV show that we got, The White Lotus from Mike White and Nine Perfect Strangers with Nicole Kidman. These two, I think it's very pandemic-y. So you have these shows that take place in with multiple characters in these sort of outdoor, beautiful settings, doing lots of, I don't know, like watching the social distancing and the pandemic times force people into making certain kinds of smaller, 12 Angry Men kind of movies. And both of them are exploring just privileged white weirdos with great actors. And they're not all white, sorry, but just privileged weirdos. I guess The White Lotus definitely gets into more of the social satire. But I think the two of them they're the kind of shows that I think really would only happen in this time. And so maybe one of the good things to go back and look at. And same feeling around Station 11. That's a series that I know moved a lot of people. It's a little bit overdramatic. It's a pandemic story. It's weird because so here's just a world is wrong kind of point. So there are these pandemic, like from The Stand to Station 11, pandemic movies where the whole, 90% of the world gets wiped out, and then people have to survive. The survivors have to navigate that world.
Yeah.
And what's really weird is that seems like the most nightmarish scenario unless you're living in a world in which the fact that so many people are not being killed off by it and are just tearing each other apart, fighting over it, that it's sort of like it becomes this weird wish fulfillment of like, oh, wouldn't it be nice to go through the pandemic with just 2 or 3 other people in my town instead of everyone fighting about hating each other. So maybe Dope Sick and Station 11 kind of go together as really good pandemic watches. I guess that's the theme of my Noscarist shows, is that they all spoke to this time that we have been going through in a way that I guess that's what TV as a euphemism, that TV has always done, is sort of be present and in the way it's kind of disposable, but that also makes it, bear the imprint of its time more distinctly.
Yeah.
So let's see. I guess now we're into the supporting actor roles. So for my Noscarist supporting actress, I have a couple of NONminees here. Abby Lee as Crystal in Old. She plays this sort of trophy wife, very vain, self-obsessed kind of character. And in the context of the TV show, in the film Old, where people are aging, there's a way that plays out on her character that struck me as particularly horrific.
Oh yeah, so she has this sort of bone condition, right? She's the one who can her arm breaks easily, correct?
Yeah.
And there's a scene in a cave where you realize, because I don't want to give the twist away exactly to Old if people haven't seen it, because this is an episode about that. But basically, she has the most horrific plight, I feel, of anyone else on the island. And it starts out as sort of oh no, she breaks her arm easily. This is really sad. That's horrible. You're on this beach in the middle of nowhere. But then sort of the way that progresses and the way that it kind of turns her basically into a monster is really disturbing, really upsetting. And I think that was definitely the most disturbing role of the year, where you're just because it's also you could tell that she's suffering, and it's just just the mental capacity of what she must be going through from what she's going through physically. Just it's truly horrific.
Yeah. And then the other Noscarist supporting actress, along with Caitlin Dever from Dope Sick, is another actress from that show, Jamie Ray Newman as Kathy Sackler in Dope Sick. She was in one of my last year's NONminee films, Valley of the Gods. And she generally plays like pretty blonde lady kind of characters, and as Kathy Sackler, she really transformed herself, and she's just kind of wonderfully awful in this show, and I didn't even recognize her until I thought back on the great performances of the year, and I was like, oh, who was that person? And then when I realized who it actually was, I was like, oh, well, she's definitely deserving of some notice. Now let's move on to the Noscarist supporting actor. And I have two for this as well. One is Chasky Spencer as Teddo in Wild Indian.
Yeah, really good. Yeah.
This guy is so charismatic and so, what a performance. Well, you got excited there. What's your take on
it's
on
just
Chasky?
that is such a good character. That is like, it is so believable, so real. Like, it doesn't feel like an actor when you watch this role. It really feels like they just followed some guy around in his hard life for like a week. It is a raw, emotional performance, real tough. A character that's hard to pull off and make like sympathetic, because it is sort of like the type of character that usually you would see as a bad guy in a movie. But in this, you get to kind of the core of the why he is this way. And you get to like, you just to see a lot of heart within this sort of like rough exterior that he has or has lived. And it's incredible. Like, that's definitely one of the best performances of last year for sure. Like, that actor needs to be in more things. Like, yeah. He steals the movie for me, honestly. Like, he's not in the whole movie, but he's great. Yeah. Really, really should be a star-making performance. Really charismatic actor. But the one that I knew from the second I saw it, that this was the first Noscar that I gave out in my mind of the year. Many, many months ago, I'm watching the film Pig, marveling at Nicolas Cage, how great he is in it. And maybe I didn't even realize this until the second watch, because the first time I'm watching it, it's all Nicolas Cage. But the scene of the movie is a scene where, I'll just, not to ruin the film, this is, I think everyone knows this about the film, that Nicolas Cage plays a former hipster chef from Portland, like the great genius chef of Portland, who has left that scene to go and live in the world with his beloved truffle pig. And when his beloved truffle pig is stolen, is pignapped, he, along with this young guy who has been this sort of like cheesy guy who buys his truffles and goes and sells them in the city, they go to try and find the pig. And through this, we get to learn of what a sort of powerful sway the myth of the chef that Nicolas Cage plays still holds over the city of Portland. And the best, like the scene that everyone talks about in the movie, is one where he goes to this very fancy restaurant where the guy he's with is afraid to let him in. He's like, the whole time, the kid who's bringing him there and wants to be accepted in the Portland restaurant scene, he's sort of embarrassed to have this guy with him. And then every time he shows up, people are like, oh my God, you're with Obi-Wan Kenobi of chefs. and so there's this fancy place that he has got him into, and he sits down, and the main chef comes to say hi to them. And you know what? I'll just play the scene.
Hi, I'm Chef Finway. Welcome to Eurydice.
Food is really good.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad you're enjoying it.
We heard there were some new truffles on the menu.
Well, we are planning a few truffle dishes for the winter menu. It's a fascinating and expanding local industry with deep roots in old world traditions.
Great. I'm
looking for a truffle pig.
I don't I don't understand.
I just want to know about the pig.
Tell him who you are. Come on, tell him.
Chef Feld. Oh my God. May I? How are you? My God, you've been off the scene for what, 10 years?
15.
Really? Okay. I thought you were, well, I mean, the time is very,
Sure.
Yeah. I'm sorry, do you need medical attention?
No, thank you.
You probably don't remember me, but I actually worked at Hestia.
You were a prep cook for 2 months.
Was it 2 months?
I fired you because you always overcooked the pasta.
Now this is excellent. This is a 2012 Pinot from just 20 miles away.
So do you know about the pig?
Why do you want a pig?
It's my pig.
Oh, okay. That's great. That's a great business. It's an expanding industry. It's.
Someone stole it.
I really, I respect you, Chef. I always have. But I'm running a business here, and people have expectations. Critics, investors, so forth, and truffles are a key part of the whole concept of the winter menu, and they need to be the top of the line. So you understand. I have the utmost respect for you, utmost.
What is the concept here?
Well, we're interested in taking local ingredients native to this region and just deconstructing them, you know, making the familiar feel foreign, thereby giving us an even greater appreciation of food as a whole.
This is the kind of cooking you like?
It's cutting edge. It's very exciting.
Exciting.
I mean, everybody loves it.
You like cooking it?
Absolutely.
Derek, what was it you always used to talk about opening and wasn't at a pub?
Everyone loves it here. This is a huge success.
Why didn't you open your pub?
I don't know that I really wanted. I mean, that was such a long time ago.
When I fired you, I asked you what you wanted to do. You said you have a few rooms upstairs. A real English pub.
Did I say that?
Yes.
Nobody wants pubs around here. That's just a terrible investment.
What was going to be your signature dish?
Liver Scotch eggs with a honey curry mustard.
They're not real. You get that, right? None of it is real. The critics aren't real. The customers aren't real. Because this isn't real. You aren't real.
Okay.
Derek, why do you care about these people? They don't care about you. None of them. They don't even know you. Because you haven't shown them. Every day you'll wake up and there'll be less of you. You live your life for them and they don't even see you. You don't even see yourself. We don't get a lot of things to really care about. Derek, who has my pig?
This actor, David Nell, my choice for the Noscarist Supporting Actor of the Year, as Chef Finway, who shows up sort of proud of his restaurant and to be meeting his old teacher, who he figures probably wouldn't even remember him. And Nicolas Cage just sort of breaks him down and says, yes, I remember you, and I remember why I fired you, and I remembered, you could never pull off this. And he sort of sits down and he's like, starts drinking the wine. The chef starts drinking the wine. And Nicolas Cage has this great scene where he builds up to saying, why do you care about this? Nobody here cares about you. What was the restaurant that you really wanted to make? Wasn't it a little bistro? And he's not in tears, but this actor is giving a performance that is the epitome of the great supporting actor performances, because Nicolas Cage is earning what should be his Oscar because this actor is so sensitive, and he's in one scene. To know what it is like to be a supporting actor, to walk on set, and you have one scene with Nicolas Cage, and you don't have that much to say, but it's not that you have to sell it, that you come in and know that you can, and you just give that gift to the movie. It is...
Wow. David
Nell should work constantly for the rest of his life as an actor based off this scene. Any movie star wants this guy in their movie, because he is such just such a mensch of an actor. Bravo, David Nell. You're the award that I'm most proud to be giving on this episode. Okay, but I'm not through with the supporting actors, because the most supporting actor of the year has to be Billy Preston in Get Back. He saved the Beatles. He came in and saved the Beatles. You haven't seen the movie yet? Spoiler alert. Billy Preston saves the Beatles. He's the most supportive actor of all time.
Of all time.
Get ready for the booze. Least supporting actor of all time? Well, no. Sorry. There are a lot less supporting actors of all time. I've seen Kirk Douglas be terrible to other actors in movies. So, no. But the least supporting actor of the year is definitely George Harrison. He's doing everything he can to break up the Beatles.
Boo! I love George Harrison. Boo to you! Don't take down George Harrison. He's my favorite Beatle. He wanted to do his own thing. He was ready to move on. To be the third guy below these two other guys writing all the songs. He wanted to make his own music.
Ooh, petty.
Come on.
Petty.
They were a band long enough.
George Harrison.
I mean, more power to Ringo for staying, because Ringo didn't care. Ringo's like, yeah, I'm in this band. Who cares? I'm going to be married to Barbara Bach someday.
You need to see the movie.
I know.
See what I'm saying.
It will be watched. They are my one of my favorites, and yeah.
Even with that dig, and I stand by it. He comes off as like everything that we thought Yoko was
is actually George Harrison.
But when he just takes his guitar out and plays For You Blue.
Start again, eh? Just don't talk when he's playing, gang.
Because you're sweet and lovely, girl. I love you. Because you're sweet and lovely, girl. It's true. I love you more than ever, girl. I do. I want you in the morning, girl. I love you.
So let's keep that and do one more. Next time, please. So he can do his guitar like he wants it.
I want you at the moment I feel blue.
It's I can't even handle it. I can't even handle how great that moment is. It's so he just does it, and all those sounds happen right there, and you're just sort of like, oh, yeah. George, I love you. Okay, and now we're gonna close out, or I'm gonna close out my non-minees with the actor and actress awards.
Beautiful. I'm excited.
Let's start with the Noscar actress, Jodie Cormier in The Last Duel.
You think you're very handsome, do you? You have disgraced me before my king and all of France.
You knew what would happen to me should you lose this duel. You knew, and you didn't tell me.
God will not punish those who tell the truth.
My fate and our child's fate will be written not by God's will, but by which old man will tire first.
How dare you speak to me this way?
What have I to lose? I begged you to find another way, and now I might be burned alive.
I am risking my life for you.
You are risking my life so you can fight your enemy and save your pride. And that could render our child an orphan. Or did you not think of that? You are a hypocrite. You are blinded by your vanity.
She's an actress who I'm already very interested in because of her role in Killing Eve. She's a star. I hope she keeps getting to do great things. This is a film that that could be. It's weird. It's the star. It's the role that we're supposed to sympathize with, and I think this is what she does so well in Killing Eve. There's just a fantastic ambivalence to her style, and I think that matches really well actually with Adam Driver. That both of them are playing very ambivalent versions of characters who could be very two-dimensional, and she should be. How is she not nominated? That's crazy. It's crazy that she wasn't nominated. So congratulations, Jodie Cormier. Bryan, are you going to see The Last Duel?
I will. I'm not the biggest Ridley Scott fan, but then whenever someone asks me which ones I like, I then list like 20 movies. So maybe I am a big Ridley Scott fan. I just like to pull more for Tony Scott because he always gets kicked, when he's down. But like, I will definitely see it. Like it's on the list. Yeah, I want to see it. I will see that and Gucci. I'm going to do them both.
So, Noscarist actor of the year. The runners-up are Nicolas Cage for Pig. I'm glad he didn't get nominated so I can celebrate him in here, but I also am kind of surprised that he didn't get a nomination. Tim Blake Nelson in Old Henry is one of my favorite performances of the year. Oscar Isaacs in The Card Counter. That's a film that, if I was just letting all of my favorite, what I think are the best films of the year onto my list, The Card Counter was probably the one that was cut off, but should be on. It kind of got a bad rap as being sort of too much of a downer or too much, like, I don't even know.
It's a Paul Schrader movie. Of course it's a downer. That's what he does.
But it's also, again, this is for me, I like a film that takes on tough stuff is inspirational to me.
Yeah.
Like to me, like Gunpowder Milkshake is a downer because it's making light of really heavy stuff. A film that takes on the heavy stuff and finds moments of transcendence in it is great. And Oscar Isaacs should definitely. I'm surprised he didn't get it. I don't want him to be on this list because it's such an Oscar type performance that they should have done their job and just nominated him. And he probably could be in the running for most actor this year if I had seen Scenes from a Marriage. Maybe I would have, but I didn't. So he might be on that list, but this year it's Adam Driver. I'm sure Oscar Isaacs is going to have more great years.
Both of them
in
will.
the years to come. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe we've hit the high water mark for Adam Driver. Let's hope not. Anyway, but my choice for the Noscarist actor is Jake Gyllenhaal in The Guilty.
Ooh. Unexpected.
Yeah.
I was not expecting this. This is an Oscar upset.
Yeah, he...
Wow.
What's up?
I need you to do me a favor.
Sure thing. What do you need?
Okay, could you send a car over to 5800 Regis Street, apartment 6? It's urgent.
Yeah, you got it. Why?
I'm working a convicted felon, kidnapped his ex-wife, left 2 kids at the mother's house. They're alone. I need someone to send a unit over there.
Okay, how do you know the kids are in there?
I spoke to a little girl, Abby.
All right, and are the parents home?
No, he took her in their mobile somewhere east of the city.
Mm-hmm. And did you talk to CHP?
Yes, but CHP's looking for the vehicle. Sarge, look. They don't live together, and both of their residents are in our jurisdiction, so I need you to send a unit over to the mother's house, and I need you to send another unit over to his house.
Is there anyone at his house?
I think he lives alone, but there may be clues to where they're going over to his.
Mm-hmm. Joe,
Look, we need to hurry, all right? Just
Joe.
get a unit over to the mother's house and then send one over to his and kick his fucking door in if you have to.
What was that?
Kick his fucking door in.
Joe, excuse me?
I talked to a terrified 6-year-old girl, and I promised her that her mother would come home.
I'm assuming that there's no warrant for his residence, so I'm going to send someone to the mother's house to check on the kid.
No! I need you to send a unit over to his house, and I need you to send a unit over to her house.
Joe, it's too much.
No, goddamn it, Bill. There is a scared little girl whose mother has been abducted.
That's enough. It's enough. What are you trying to do? You are in enough trouble already. I will send a car to the mother's house, but I'm not going to have anyone kicking in any fucking doors. It's not your job.
I know that.
Yeah, well, apparently you don't.
It's just a really a powerful film, and it all rests on its lead actor, and that lead actor happens to be Jake Gyllenhaal, who happens to be one of the great actors of his generation.
He really is.
Generation at the top of at peak Gyllenhaal, and so
I wonder.
Go on.
I wonder, when he will ever get an Oscar nomination. He's so good. He keeps getting better and better, and he's just this weird. He's famous, as famous as anyone else, but it's it hasn't. He plays really weird characters, so maybe, or he's in movies that aren't Oscar-y type movies, so maybe that's why. Like that new Michael Bay movie, Ambulance, looks great, and he's in it. And I can't wait. He's just so. There's something truly edgy about him, and really just complex and. Just and I used to not really care about him when he was younger. I thought he was fine, but he just has proven to be just a great, better and better every year. Him in Nightcrawler, one of the best roles ever. And I'm really excited to watch this movie because I love Anton Fuqua a lot, and so this is definitely one that I want to see badly because I know it'll be great.
And I've already told you who my most actor of the year is: Adam Driver. Last Duel, House of Gucci, Annette. And I think it's only appropriate that I end my NONminees with the most actress of the year, because it takes us back to Bad Trip. Tiffany Haddish as the most actress of the year. Sweet. Bad Trip, The Card Counter.
You know who he is?
Who?
Bill Teller, whatever his real name is. You know who he is, right?
All I've ever heard was William Tell. Why do you think he has another name?
You've been around him. He's a mystery. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Am I in any danger?
Of what? Falling in love?
Don't be a child. What is his past?
I haven't asked.
Well, what are you two doing together?
I don't have any goals. I'm just along for the ride, one day at a time. What do you think he's holding?
I don't know, but if you be quiet, we'll find out.
All in.
Two could not be more different movies.
Yeah.
And she's playing very, very different characters, and she's at the heart of both of them. And I haven't seen Here Today, where she's with Billy Crystal, and I got to, because in the middle of, like, if I feel like that's got to be the one that brings it all together. But because it'll make me interested in Billy Crystal again, which is that is a pretty exciting feat. So,
yeah,
I would say congratulations to Tiffany Haddish, but she doesn't need our help. What I'll say is congratulations to us in the world that we have Tiffany Haddish.
Yeah,
having this kind of run.
Yeah, she's great. Gosh, yeah, love her.
Yeah.
No, this is good. Yeah. So some good. I think Bad Trip was kind of the sweep with 3 different people talk about that movie.
Yeah.
Oh, and Old. 3 people talked about. You talked about Old. So Old and Bad Trip are kind of the sweepy ones, where more than just us gave it some love.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
I'm pretty surprised. I did not see that coming.
Yeah, and then and in between us, it would be Annette. Annette is our. We both agree on Best Picture is amazing. I wonder if this will ever happen again.
Yeah. Well, and AJ and I are both fans of Get Back. We both gave some love.
If I see it, I bet I will too. Yeah, it's.
I mean, how can you not? It's so good.
Yeah, and yeah, I have a heart. I'll love it. The only critique I've heard from people I don't trust, and there's people. It's like with that movie, it's people that I trust saying like. It's so fascinating. You're just watching them create these things, and they're dynamic, and you're just a fly on the wall in this room that you always wanted to be. And gosh, it's like the greatest feeling in the world. And it just builds and builds to the end, and you just leave feeling like that's the greatest movie ever. And then there's a few people I don't trust who are like, yeah, it's really boring. I turned it off. They're just like noodling on a guitar. I don't get it. Just like there's nothing happening. It's like, okay, I don't trust you. Like, in fact, I never need to hear your opinion on anything ever again. So, like, you're fine. Now I know which people I don't ever even need to ask, what do you like? I can just be like, you're fine. You can all hang out together at the kids' table, and we'll be over here enjoying this Beatles movie. So now it's like, within the next month, I'm going to dig in. Like, I know, well, you're like this. I know when something's going to be so good, and it's going to make me full of good feelings. I just got to save that, like I need to save that for when I need that or when I know it's gonna take it all in, so
yeah.
Well, hey, we did it, the Noscars.
It's been a fantastic second annual Noscars.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. And, this is my favorite time of the year. Like, I'm so glad that we've done this. And, like, I can't believe it's been a year since the last one. Like, that's crazy. So many good movies. I feel like my list was longer this year than last year. Like, I think this is more
definitely.
Stuff that I liked. So, like, I had more exciting things that were being made. So let's hope 2022 is even a bit better. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some exciting films coming, and they probably won't get any nominations either.
Yeah, no.
As long as the Academy keeps not doing their job, that allows.
Yeah, and when we recorded this, the Oscars haven't happened yet, and I'm sure it'll be very disappointing. Maybe we can mention it on the outro of one of the next 2 episodes where we're zeroing in on movies from 2021. Yeah. I mean, they're already fucking up with like cutting awards out of the. It's just they're always they make such mistakes. They never learn.
That's why the greatest honor, they say that it's the greatest honor is to be nominated. No, the greatest honor is to be booed at the Oscar.
Yeah, who will be booed this year? Because there's a lot that could be said about who knows what. So
it'll get cut out. It'll be edited out by editors who are not treated with the respect of being film artists. The world is wrong.
It's going to be interesting because I predict Oscar prediction, and even though this comes out a week before, right? Week after.
Yeah.
All the people that got cut, like the editor and composer, they're all in their speech going to mention what a bunch of bullshit it is and how disrespectful it is. And I have a feeling that we aren't going to see that. and that's going to be cut out by the Academy because it's all pre-recorded, and they're going to just like make it into a montage of like the moment when they like pick up the Oscar, then the rest is all cut out. But hopefully that means if the other people who are on TV, the actor, actress, director, all these people, if they don't give a shout out to those people, then they're not standing with them, you know?
Yeah.
They should, like, everyone in their speech that they know is televised should give a shout out to the people that are not being allowed to do it in front of the same audience. Because supposedly these people that are cut, they keep saying, oh, they will be included, but they're just going to be in front of seat fillers. Like, it's while the red carpet's going on. So it's like the best, like, short film is always great to do on live TV because these are like up and coming people that don't have the money or the backing to make stuff. And usually their movies are more political and they're more about important things. And these are people just getting their start. And the fact that you're taking that moment from them to be able to stand in front of all of Hollywood and be excited and they get attention is garbage. And then what's next? Like, so if you're doing composer, which is insane, so you're going to make John Williams and Danny Elfman just like show up early. But then what's next? The screenwriters? Like, where does it end? Is it just going to only be famous people just to boost ratings? It's so dumb. Okay, rant over.
So here's the question. What is going to get booed? Because we're in such odd political times. So first of all,
for movie stuff.
Well, I know it's when someone gets up and talks about politics. So I don't think if someone gets up, like if one of the actors or directors gets up and says, the editor should be here, the people, whoever, they'll get applauded. They're not going to get booed. That's a popular point of view. And if you're powerful enough, like the person who's powerful enough not to worry about having to get fired will, or get canceled by the Academy. Like there's room to critique the Academy for the famous enough person to show solidarity. So I think that's a popular stand. That's not going to get them booed. If there's going to be like stuff for the Ukraine, that's going to get cheered. But if you speak out against that, if you say like, hey, wait a second, remember McCarthyism, maybe we shouldn't hate Russians, I bet they'll get booed. And if anyone talks about the vaccination stuff from this, like, there's going to be, I don't know, that's going to get, that feels like that's the area where you might get some
I think
weirdness.
It's going to be whoever wins for Power of the Dog saying something ill about Sam Elliott. And then some people will boo because people like Sam Elliott. That's already been happening last week.
So Jane Campion, you think so? Jane Campion.
I think she's gonna like stick it to the. She's gonna stick it to the fake cowboys, and there'll be some boos from some of the older people in the audience or the more conservative people that like the fake cowboys. Because Sam Elliott is a liked person, but then he spoke out against Power of the Dog in a weird way, and so I feel like I can see her kind of like defending herself and women and Australia in that movie and gay people and and that could still get some jeers from people because like he's loved. He was in Star is Born, like Bradley Cooper and him made a movie. So it's like I can see some people being like, don't pick on Sam Elliott. Like when people got
Are you
mad
of that mind?
The don't pick on Sam Elliott?
Yeah.
I haven't seen Power of the Dog, so I don't know. But I don't know. His opinion seems strange.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the movie. But I do agree that what do you know about the real West? You're an actor. Like Clint Eastwood doesn't know about the real West either, nor does John Wayne. It's ridiculous.
Hey, you know what, Sam? Instead of tearing down Power of the Dog, maybe you should be building up Old Henry. How about that? Like celebrate.
Yeah, here's a Western that was the way it was, or whatever.
Yeah.
Or yeah, I don't know. That's a pretty good Sam Elliott I just did there. That's. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, why take that? Not to go on a tangent, but it's dumb to hate that Power of the Dog for being shot in Australia because I bet he loves him some spaghetti westerns. Spaghetti westerns, those are shot in Italy. That's not the Wild West. All those Clint Eastwood movies, those Mexicans were played by Italians. There's nothing real about it. And also, it's all movies. There's nothing real about any of it.
Yeah, are we really supposed to believe that George Costanza is Italian? Come on.
Oh,
he's based on Larry David.
That's he's the most Jewish Italian on television. I rewatched that show and that came up and I totally forgot. And I was like, wait, that whole family's supposed to be Italian? That makes no sense. They're clearly Jewish. They thought that maybe there was too much of that on that show, so they had to make them Italian.
It's so weird.
Nobody's buying it. Maybe that was like the deal they made. They're like, okay, fine, we can have this very Jewish show, but the most Jewish of characters has to be Italian.
Actually, you know what? Like, Elaine's not supposed to be Jewish.
Just like,
as I guess,
no, and they're clearly
yeah.
Kramer's the only one that is believably not, but the other three are definitely supposed to be, at least because they're all the voice of Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld. It's ridiculous because I always assumed Elaine was like rewatching it. I was just like, I thought it was about all these Jewish people, but only Jerry's supposed to be.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
It is.
The times have changed, I guess.
Yeah. How do we get there? I don't know, because this is what we do. This is why we have.
All right. Well, Noscar's rant.
Okay. Well,
we went from Sam Elliott getting booed to George Costanza. Anyways, let's wrap it up.
So, yes, we are going to be posting this entire list of NONminees in some fashion in the show notes and on our website, so you can check back and spend the year watching these films while you also watch the new films that are coming out in the coming year. If you feel like there are films that we should have covered that we didn't, you can write to us and tell us at contact@theworldiswrongpodcast.com. Of course, you can find a page devoted to every one of our episodes at www.theworldiswrongpodcast.com. And you can find us on the social medias at Instagram at The World Is Wrong Podcast and on Twitter at World Is Wrong Pod. And I think that's all of that. And we're not done with our Noscar love, because the next two episodes we're going to be digging a little bit deeper into a couple of films that we discussed on this episode. Next week we will be talking about Dinner in America, one of Bryan's NONminees, and the week after that we'll be talking about Wild Indian, one of my Noscar NONminees. I think we're both in agreement that both these films are pretty great.
Excellent. Yes. No, I'm excited.
Yeah. So an exciting couple of weeks. And thanks a lot to our guests, AJ Gonzalez and to Jen Brown. Thank you, Bryan, for hanging for one more epic Noscars episode. And
no, thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks to all of us. It's been a great year in film. And may it be another great year in film. And until next time, just remember that whether you were nominated or non-nominated or neither, wherever you are, the world is wrong, and it is probably wrong about you.